Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan scratch it. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it.
What you know about classic music?
3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody, to the Retro Wrestling Review Series. I'm Owen the Birdman Fitz. I'm sitting here in the dark, just all by myself, because, well, the lighting in this house sucks. So I have to make it do with what I can, but that's what we got the ring light for. So today, I have for the first time in a long time on this channel, I don't remember the last time he's been on it where we both done a podcast together. And this is the first time that it's just me and this guy doing a podcast. I think the last time we did one together, he'll obviously correct me if I'm wrong because he knows all things wrestling. I think was NXT TakeOver 25 when Adam Cole won the NXT Championship from Johnny Gargano for the first time. I think that's the last review we both did just with each other. He's a simple man. He covers all things wrestling. And he used to get mad when the Cruiserweight division made the kickoff show, but that's not the case anymore because it doesn't exist anymore. The simple man, Noah Foster. How are you today?
Doing very well. It's good to see you. It's been quite a while, but of course, I do remember recently we had shenanigans on Open My Night, Cast 18 Studios, folks, as we, of course, do that weekly on Saturday nights and after pay-per-views as well. And, yeah, it's good to see you as, of course, we look back in time at one of the greatest matches in WWE history. During this Wednesday night, we record this, of all times. But happy to be here, happy to see you. And, yeah, we don't need to bring up other things of the past that, you know, I didn't rather not bring back. You have to bring up the pre-show thing with the Cruiserweight thing. The running gag that died. You had to do that.
I did have to do it, yes.
Of course.
Hey, I better IQ my guests now. That's a big thing. So,
fair enough.
But yeah. So we're here doing retro wrestling review series for WrestleMania 25. You picked this retro. Is there a reason you picked this retro? Because I usually have people say a reason, or do you want to talk about when we get to the match that we're here for?
I mean, I think it's safe to say once you say what it is, it pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, literally, to me, it felt like a one-match show, even though there's maybe 3 really worthwhile matches across the entire card. But when you think about how long you are as a WWE fan, you think about the biggest names, the most iconic names associated with the marquee, with this company, doesn't get bigger than The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels when you consider their history, when you consider unwrapping their lifelong rivalry in the WWE. They really didn't coexist with each other in the locker room, but they knew how capable each other were in the ring. When it came to the Streak versus Mr. WrestleMania, the showstopper, pretty much writes itself. At the 25th anniversary of the showcase of the Immortals, the greatest spectacle in all of sports entertainment, I had to pick this one. It still to this day is my favorite, quote-unquote, WrestleMania match of all time.
Yeah, and you definitely, it's definitely going to be up there to a lot of people's. If they made a list of the top 10 favorite WrestleMania matches, this would be like the top 3, I think, easily. But we'll talk about it when we get there. So something that you could talk. I don't think you knew, Noah. This was the first WrestleMania that I watched live from beginning to end. I've seen other WrestleManias live. My first one was 22, but this is the first one that I actually watched live as it was happening. Every year, I would have WrestleMania parties because luckily my birthday would always kind of line up. My birthday's March 15th, but because I would always ask, what do you want to do for a birthday party? I would always want to have a WrestleMania watch party every year because what wrestling fan wouldn't say that if their birthday was close to WrestleMania, pretty much. Because obviously WrestleMania typically takes place a few weeks later. And yeah, this was the first WrestleMania that I saw from beginning to end, so it definitely has nostalgia for stuff. Um, and yeah, it was just crazy. Obviously, I wouldn't get every pay per view, but WrestleMania would be the one that I would get. And then obviously by like 2012, I was watching about every pay per view. Some legally, some not so legal, but we don't need to talk about
I'm
that.
about to say, I mean, you know, FBI, I mean, if they watch this, put yourself out there. Go ahead.
But yeah, so let's talk about where WWE kind of was in the state of wrestling at this time. I thought WWE bounced back pretty well. They obviously 2008 and all of wrestling was a recovery year for it because of the Chris Benoit tragedy that happened in late 2007, and WWE had to make some changes in terms of their product and stuff like that. They had to turn it into a PG product, which a lot of fans of the Attitude Era and stuff aren't the biggest fans of. Unpopular opinion, because of everything that happened, I thought it was a little bit of a necessary step. They obviously did the PG. They obviously went way overboard with it, especially in 2010. But we're not in 2010, so we're not going to talk about that right now.
Right.
But they needed to change their image a little bit because of the Chris Benoit, tragedy and everything like that. So they did need to kind of appeal to those kids and everything like that. So I can understand going into the PG direction. WWE in 2008 ended up being a pretty good year on-screen product because we've done retros with other people, and I mean me mainly, where we did an 05 retro, we did an 06 retro, we've done 07 retros. Wrestling was in a weird state, mainly WWE, because 2005, they didn't even have really any of the top guys. 2006 was obviously a bad year for the pay-per-views and stuff. 2007 was turning things around, and then the Chris Benoit tragedy really obviously negatively impacted the business, mainly WWE, since Chris Benoit was working for them.
Exactly.
And I thought 2008 WWE turned things around. They had their wellness policy pretty much in effect, and they had some really good storylines and stuff going into WrestleManias and everything like that. And obviously TNA at this time was I guess not yet.
TNA was before the Dark Age, but it was getting there.
Yeah, TNA was getting there. ROH was pretty good, and I'm pretty sure New Japan wasn't the best in this case either. I'm pretty sure this was when New Japan would start to do their partnership with TNA, which kind of hurt New Japan's image because TNA really didn't treat their stars in New Japan all that well, and that kind of hurt New Japan's image a little bit. This was obviously before the last person, before the president now, you would know more Noah than I would, took over New Japan and really turned that company around and everything like that. So
absolutely.
But yeah, so professional wrestling was in like an interesting state. I definitely think this was before WWE started getting really bad, because this was the same year as the guest host era. We weren't there yet for WWE, and when they got really hokey,
and when they
really
got bought up by Trump.
Yeah, so WWE was still pretty good. The on-screen product was good. We had good matches every week at least, and yeah, I thought professional wrestling was starting to bounce back a little bit. It still wasn't perfect, but they obviously their image was a little bit redeemed from the Chris Benoit tragedy, so that was good. Because we'll be talking. That's going to be a big thing we talk about in the WrestleMania 24 retro. Now, as you know, Noah, when you pick the retro, also one other thing is this is the last WrestleMania where ECW is a third brand on this show. I mean, you don't see much of ECW on this show anyway, so you could say WrestleMania 24 really was, but this is the last WrestleMania where ECW was a third brand. ECW would be deactivated in 2010, the month before WrestleMania 26. So, yeah, they didn't really, yeah, that's pretty much that. But yeah, as you know, Noah, I like to do some trivia when you pick the retro, when it comes to dates and things like that. Do you want to guess what date this WrestleMania took place?
Well, WrestleMania is always supposed to take place towards the end of March, the beginning of April esque, and this was back in, of course, 25 because we're in 39 now, which is 14 years ago. That would be 2009, and usually they talk all about blah 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 blah. No idea. Let's just go on a limb here and see what happens. I'm gonna say March 25th.
Ooh, I think you're like a week. I think you're like a little bit off. It's April 5th, 2009. It was the beginning of April.
Okay, so it's one of those in April. All right.
I like that you put some thought into this, though. Like a lot of people, when I ask a trivia question, so they just guess. I like that you actually try to come. You show your work pretty much. So I like that.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like you remember this moment in wrestling. You don't necessarily remember the date because more so they talk about between these two people, under this situation, under this company, this happened. It's like you more so remember the parts that make up the date versus the date itself.
For sure. The city. I assume you know the city.
Oh yeah, I mean it was in wait, no, it was in Texas, one of the bigger cities of Texas. I want to say not Austin. Was it Houston? I'm gonna say it was Houston because the only thing I remember from this show is it's from Allegiant Stadium and it had like 77,000 people. So I'm gonna say Houston, Texas.
It was Houston, Texas.
Okay.
I assume you won't know the venue, but let's see if you can guess the venue.
I think I just said Allegiant. Allegiant. I probably butchering.
Yeah, I think that's how you say that.
Allegiant Stadium.
And then the attendance.
Linda was rewatching it today. It was 77,000. Now it was either 744 or I think 477. So I'm gonna go with the latter. I'm gonna say it was 77,477 approximately, according to what they said.
Yeah, I guess either they made up the number because according to according to Wikipedia, it's 72,744. But that number's probably even made up. Also,
Wikipedia, the most trusted quote unquote source on the internet, right?
The buy rate. Do you know the buy rate?
Oh,
according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, again, I haven't used Wikipedia since 6th grade when I learned how reliable that can be because it's fan edited, person edited. As far as buy rate, I mean, again, I'm not a star coder. I don't look at the box office, but you consider now that WrestleMania 2-day spectacle brings in like $1 billion, and this is WrestleMania 25, which I don't even think. Really, I don't think they even had $1 million going on at that time. So, well, no, actually, I take that back because $1 billion. They had to go $1 billion. So I mean. I'm going to say blah, 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 288 million.
It was 960,000 according to Wikipedia. So,
oh wow.
Now the tagline
that goes to show how big WrestleMania was this 25th anniversary.
Yeah, you just said the tagline. I was going to quiz you on the tagline, but you just said it. It's the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. This is where we rant here.
The math is wrong. It's 24th anniversary. I already have it in the title.
There you go. Yeah, for some reason, WWE, no matter the regime, they consider they always get the anniversary years one for their shows. This was not the 25th anniversary. I don't know. They clearly wanted a tagline, so they wanted to go 25th anniversary, but 26 would be the 26th anniversary because
yeah.
Obviously,
yeah,
because the best way you can explain it is I guess according to WWE, the year you get married counts as an anniversary. That is not the case. So, I'm not going to get too mad about it because other YouTubers have beaten me to the punch anyways. So, and obviously James himself just beat me to the punch. So, yeah.
You can still rant. It's good content.
Yeah, this is not the 20.
Look, we're not trying to rant about math, all right? That's not what this thing's about. But it's like, AEW's got their 5th Double or Nothing coming up, but clearly understand it's the 4th anniversary of Double or Nothing because the first one happened on May 25th, 2019.
Correct. And I'm pretty sure AEW has gotten it right, too, because when they did the 1 year anniversary, it was actually like their first year anniversary. Like they didn't count 2019 as their first year anniversary. They didn't say it was their second. So, but yeah, going through it, I just want to read the marketing section real quick because they marketed the show pretty interestingly. I'm just reading this right off of Wikipedia. I typically don't do this, but I will this time just because I won't remember everything. So according to WWE's executive vice president at that time, Michelle Wilson, I think she's back now, by the way, WrestleMania 25 featured the most expensive promotional campaign in WrestleMania history, at least at that time anyways. I don't know if that's changed since then. This one I do remember because I remember seeing the commercials for it. Promotion for the event included a merchandise deal with Kmart, enabling discounts on the pay-per-view's retail price, as well as deals with DirecTV and Dish Network to promote through interactive television. The campaign also saw WWE mail to previous purchasers of WrestleMania professional boxing and mixed martial arts pay-per-views to order their show. I obviously wasn't on the list because I didn't order WrestleMania before, so I wasn't on that list. WWE spent, this was in the United States income, $10 million for cross-channel spots on television networks such as ESPN, MTV, and the USA Network, because I think that Raw was on USA. So the Army National Guard were primary sponsors for the event, using the event to help enhance their recruitment. To commemorate the event, THQ and Ukes produced a video game. James, since you're on the call, do you remember what the video game was that came out around WrestleMania 25? Actually, Noah, you're a gamer too. You would know. You probably would know.
WrestleMania 25. And by the way, I'm only here because I'm setting up the stream, the show for tomorrow. By the way, if you're seeing this during the day, which you will be, stay tuned on this channel earlier today because we will be doing our WrestleMania 24 retro with Jeff Meacham and Casey Gallagher. Jeff, who was there live for that show, and Casey, who picked the retro. But as far as the game, I want to say it would have been. It had to have been 2010, right? Road to WrestleMania?
It was Legends of WrestleMania. Do you remember that game?
Oh, was that the game?
Yeah, it was
that
did that game?
That game is a blur.
Dude,
that game, if you remember...
I will tell you right now, that game is the pits. It's so
it
bad.
is.
That's why I say it's a blur.
I really... the thing that I like the most about the game is... I like that you could like put the SmackDown versus Raw 09 roster in there. Like you could like import
but
it
even
stuff.
then, you're putting a SmackDown versus Raw 2009 roster with broken fucking controls.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean?
I remember I was really bad. I was really bad at that game. I think I played that game and I didn't play for like more than a week. I think I went back to like SmackDown versus Raw 2009.
Yeah, because
SmackDown vs. Raw was like the best. I mean, seriously, once they peaked that at 2010, I was like, I'm done. But I will say this: the 2K games have finally bounced back from a bit of over-resaddled recycling assets and the pits that was 20 that I thought was pretty much the depth of that freaking franchise. But either way, I haven't bought a wrestling game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Now, with AEW Fight Forever and what I've seen them bounce back with WWE 2K22, things might be different. But we'll see. Also, budgeting.
All right, last paragraph here when it comes to marketing, and that as with the previous WrestleMania events, a series of events were held in the week preceding WrestleMania 25, which is obviously WrestleMania fan access and everything. For the second consecutive year, WrestleMania an art exhibition, an auction featuring work by WWE wrestlers and local artists. Obviously, they do show it later, which I'll talk about. Was held at the Julia Idenson building on April 1st, with the proceeds going to Houston Public Library Foundation. And WrestleMania's annual fan convention, WrestleMania Access, was held from April 2nd through April 5th at the Rallitt Center. On April 4th, WWE hosted its annual Hall of Fame ceremony at the Toyota Center, where the class of 2009 were inducted, which we'll be talking about them later on as well. So that's everything you need to know in terms of a marketing standpoint. Let's talk about the show itself. So there was a dog match on the show, Noah. I forgot to tell you to watch it, so I'll just cover it real quick. It was to unify the WWE and World Tag Team titles. It was John Morrison and The Miz, who were the World Tag Team champions, versus the Colognes, who were the WWE Tag Team champions. This storyline here, the reason it was happening was because John Morrison and The Miz had the not Miz TV, the Dirt Sheet segment, and they made fun of various wrestlers. And I'm pretty sure one of the tag teams that they made fun of, and they consistently started making fun of them because they made fun of everybody on the Dirt Sheet, but it was the Colognes, and the Colognes took offense to this. So it led to them having a series of matches on Raws and SmackDowns and ECWs. Where they put each other's tag titles on the line, and they would retain those titles. And somehow the Bellas were involved in this because this was the Bellas' first year in the company, pretty much, where they were like dating the Colognes, and one of them, I think it was Nikki, I don't even remember at this point, turned heel on Brie. I think it was Nikki turned heel on Brie and sided with John Morrison and The Miz, and Brie sided with the Colognes, I think is how it went. Obviously, they abandoned that pretty quickly, but that's how it happened. And on the Dirt Sheet, the Colognes challenged John Morrison and The Miz to a tag title unification match. And they made it a lumberjack match. I don't remember the kayfabe reason they made it a lumberjack match. Obviously, in real life, they wanted to make sure everybody got a payday. So that's why it was a lumberjack match. And yeah, we were just off to the races. And you're wondering, why was it a dark match on this show? Why wouldn't they put the tag titles? You know, it's pretty important. These tag titles have been around. The World Tag Team titles have been around since like the 1970s, even earlier than that. And the WWE had been around since 2002 during the original brand split, this was still in the original brand split. Why would they put this on the dark match? There was no pre-show even back then. The only way you could watch this match is if you bought the DVD or something, or if you were there.
You know what? You know what's funny too. Before you go and talk, Noah, they put that match on WWE.com from what I remember. Actually,
I think they did, yeah. But the reason this match was not on the actual pay-per-view is because there's a certain performance.
Noah was going to say something. I was just telling him you could.
No, I said what I had to say. Right now, like I said, I'm on for the ride. I'm listening.
Fair enough.
But the reason this match was kicked to the dark match, it was there was a performance that happened on this show that caused it to get kicked off, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, going through the match, going through the Lumberjacks. Let's see if you can remember these people. The Lumberjacks were the Brian Kendrick, Charlie Haas, Kurt Hawkins, Dolph Ziggler, Evan Bourne, who was a Lumberjack here, which was interesting because I think this was like his comeback too, because he had been gone on an off injury for a while. I think he had like just come back. Ezekiel Jackson, Hurricane Helms, not Gregory Helms, not the Hurricane Helms. Goldust, the Great Khali, Jack Swagger, Jamie Noble, Jimmy Wayne Yane, JTG, Mike Knox, Paul Burchill, R-Truth, Shad Gaspard, Tommy Dreamer, Vladimir Kozlov, William Regal, and Zack Ryder. Jack Swagger at the time was the ECW champion, but because WWE didn't like ECW, he didn't have a title match on this show. So this was his. This was the feature. This is how the ECW champion was featured. James will have a lot to say about that the next retro, by the way. Yeah, going through the match itself, I thought was good. The commentators for the dark match were Matt Stryker and Todd Grisham, who I'm pretty sure at this time were the ECW commentary team. Yep. And I think this was one of the last shows they commentated together. Because I'm pretty sure that Todd Grisham goes over to SmackDown after this. Because I forgot to mention one thing is Taz was going to commentate WrestleMania 25 for free. I think Taz had given his notice in that he was going to leave, and he offered to commentate WrestleMania 25 for free. But weirdly enough, Vince, I guess, said no because I think Vince was upset that he was leaving. So they basically they changed it later, but because he was going to commentate because Taz was on SmackDown at this time with Jim Ross. And I can't believe they said no. Like, if a wrestler came to me and said they were going to do something for free, especially commentary, WrestleMania of all things, I would have easily said yes, because that's just crazy. But, yeah, I think Todd Grisham went over to SmackDown after this and commentated with Jim Ross, which is a weird commentary team, but
that's
we're not here to talk
for
about
a short period of time.
Yeah, because I think JR would have his ball palsy basically had like a flare up after this. But going through the show, going through this match, yeah, this match was good. The Colognes start off very fast and furious. They dominate John Morrison and The Miz in the beginning portions of this matchup. They did some stuff with the Lumberjacks. Obviously, if you've seen a Lumberjack match before, at least in WWE at this time, you've seen them all, where anytime the heel goes out in the face corner, they just get beat the crap out of. That's basically what happened here. There's a bit where Carlito gets thrown out, and the heels try to attack him, but he fights them off. But it's used as a distraction. He gets hung up on the ropes by The Miz, and they dominate him for a while. They hit some really good tag moves on him. They hit the a double back suplex, a double face buster. They did the drop toe hold, knee to the spine combination. I believe they did the backbreaker. John Morrison does the springboard elbow drop while Carlito's in like a surfboard onto the done by The Miz. Eventually, Primo gets the hot tag, and he starts going off on everybody. Then the match spills into chaos. Everybody hits dives on each other. And eventually, John Morrison went for a suplex, and Primo countered it into the backstabber. Covered Morrison, got the win. I thought Morrison sold it great here because he's very athletic and everything like that. And Carlito, the Colognes, became the first ever unified tag team champions. This was obviously the end of the lineage of the World Tag Team titles. The WWE Tag Team titles would keep the lineage, and that's the lineage is still going on to this day, and they're met in the form of the Raw Tag Team Championships nowadays. I thought this was a good title match here. I gave it 3 stars. Really sucks that they were cut because this match could have been something special. They didn't really do a lot with the Lumberjack stipulation. It was just kind of, it was just kind of did everybody on the show. But yeah, did you get a chance to go watch this match, Noah, or did you not?
No, because I never got the DVD. We never got like wrestling DVDs back when networks weren't a thing and streaming was a thought of something to come from wherever. Basically, we just ordered the dang thing on pay-per-view. It was $60 and just watched the WrestleMania as we got it. So, what's funny is I don't even recall them talking about that match during WrestleMania. But during WrestleMania 23, they did talk about a match they literally had before the show even started. So it just makes me wonder, was this just one of those things where they were experimenting to see, okay, does this actually matter to people? And does this actually matter towards WWE storylines going forward? And clearly both answers that year was no.
For sure. Going through the career retrospectives, if you want to know Carlito, The Miz, and John Morrison, Carlito, you can watch Royal Rumble 08 Retro because we talked about him there. I don't think anything's changed in his career. John Morrison, you can watch that same retro. And The Miz, I believe you can watch SummerSlam 2012 Retro because the only thing that's changed about The Miz is he's the host of WrestleMania this year, which is good for him. As for Primo, obviously, the Colognes didn't last much longer with the tag team. Right after they lost the belts, Carlito turned heel on them. And Primo was didn't really do all that much. Then they put the Colognes back together as a team, but then Carlito asked for his release. So Primo was just not doing shit for like a long time. And then eventually he teamed up with his cousin Epico, and they won the tag titles at one point. And then they went through various character changes, whether that was Los Matadores, the Shining Stars, or they just became the Colognes again. They basically were just good hands, an enhancement team pretty much. And then they got released in 2019, and now they work for their, I believe it's Primo's father, Epico's father's, Epico's uncle, I guess that would be, wrestling promotion in Puerto Rico. And I know they won the belts there a few times, but I'm not sure if
it would be by the way, the World Wrestling Council, and you can also see them upcoming in our WYW CAW show. So stay tuned on that. There you go.
One. They also worked for SCW Fury. I remember that restarted during the pandemic, and I think they won the tag titles, but it didn't really count because they vacated all the belts during the first episode. So it was a title match, but then wasn't a title match. It was weird. As for the Lumberjacks, the Brian Kendrick, this was basically, I think his last year in WWE. He got released, I think, because he got like he violated the wellness policy, and then he went to TNA as part of the X division from 09 to like 2011, and then he did the Indies for a while. He came back in 2016 during the Cruiserweight Classic and was a part of the Cruiserweight division. He was basically the veteran of the division. He won the new Cruiserweight title once, and then after that, he was kind of like that veteran that would help that next generation. And then he retired from the business, at least for a short period of time, in, I believe, 2020, and was one of the producers for SmackDown. I think he was one of the writers, too. And then he was released, and he was supposed to last year face, I believe, Jon Moxley on like Dynamite. It was like it was supposed to be one of Moxley's like first matches back after his sobriety. But obviously, because of stuff that he said online and everything like that, I don't remember specifically, but I believe we did like a rundown or like a Aftershock Corner top 5 flop 5 talking about it. James went ham on that, and I think Kendrick, we haven't really heard much since because it's hard for him to get work now because of those comments. Charlie Haas would be drafted to SmackDown as part of the supplemental draft after this. He teamed up. They reformed the World Greatest Tag Team, which didn't last very long because then Shelton was traded to ECW, and Charlie Haas was basically enhancement talent. He teamed up with Mike Knox randomly. They formed like a random tag team, and then he was released, and then him and Shelton Benjamin have reformed their tag team in ROH and things like that. And the most notable thing is Charlie Haas has worked in various indie promotions. Last year, I think it's around this time, actually, maybe a little earlier than that, I think he wrestled Josh Alexander and really put Josh Alexander over, which was cool in Impact. We did a career retrospective on Kurt Hawkins before. I believe you can watch Royal Rumble 2011. Dolph Ziggler, you can watch SummerSlam 2012. Evan Bourne really didn't do much. He would have occasional pushes, but they never really followed up on it. He won one tag title with Kofi Kingston as part of Air Boom, and then he kept getting suspended and injured, so eventually he was released. I think he was released in like 2014 because he was off TV for so long that they couldn't release him because he kept getting injured. So that's why he was never, really released until then. And then he worked the Indies. He was a huge part of Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, and obviously ROH and stuff. So good for Evan Bourne. Ezekiel Jackson, you can watch Royal Rumble 2011. Hurricane Helms, you can watch a past retro. We've done, I think, mainly New Year's Revolution 2006. I think that's where we covered him before. Goldust, we covered him, I think in like SummerSlam 2000. The Great Khali, you can watch Royal Rumble 2011. Jack Swagger, you can watch Survivor Series 2013 or Full Gear 2019 retro for that. Jamie Noble, you can watch SummerSlam 2003. Jimmy Wayne Yane, you can watch the same retro. JTG, you can watch Royal Rumble 2011. Mike Knox, we haven't done a career retrospective on. He was released also in 2010. He went to TNA as part of the Aces and Eights, and then he worked, and also the Menagerie. Can't forget about that. And then after that ended, he just worked various indie promotions, and now he works in the NWA as part of the Cardona family, which probably isn't going to last much longer because Matt Cardona is coming back to WWE pretty soon. So I don't know what Mike Knox's career is looking like after that happens. Then Paul Burchill was released in 2010. I think maybe late 2009. And then he worked indie promotions, and he hasn't really done much in the business since then. We've done a career retrospective on R-Truth. You can watch, I think, Survivor Series 2013 or Royal Rumble 2011. Chad Gaspard. Obviously, this was this one wasn't, but after this was Crime Time's last full year together on WWE programming as a tag team. He would turn heel on JTG randomly the year after, and then really it didn't go anywhere. He was released shortly afterwards. He worked the indies by himself, and then when JTG was released, him and JTG worked a few indie shows together. And then, unfortunately, in 2020...
Before you get to the tragedy also, can we talk about he was a freaking hero also?
He was, yeah. He he stopped like a bank robbing or something, correct? Or
Stopped the
type of
bank
store robbing.
robbery, and I think there was like a couple other heroisms he did before he ended up saving his son from a riptide and then passed away from it.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. And now, obviously, his legacy now is he went into the Royal Award like recipient Hall of Fame, which I think should be renamed the Shad Gaspar recipient because of how much of a trooper he is. I get that he's not as big of a name as Ultimate Warrior, but I think he deserves it. And now I think him and Brody Lee have like their own award now in the Wrestling Observer year-end awards. It's like it's the same award that the Warrior Award is for WWE, pretty much, I believe. So that's cool. We did a retro on a career retrospective on Tommy Dreamer at Royal Rumble 08. You can watch that. Vladimir Kozlov, you can watch Royal Rumble 2011. William Regal, you can watch the same retro. And Zack Ryder, you can watch, I believe, that same retro. So there you go. That's everyone from the Lumberjacks. Now let's get. I don't know how long we are in this video. Let's actually talk about the show now.
Dude,
we have.
I'll gotta give you props because you ran down that and we're only 35 or 36 minutes in. I'm actually impressed. Like that's fucking nuts.
That's the benefit of saying go watch this retro. I'm glad we do that now.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair enough. Fair enough. All right, get on with the main show. Yay!
We had the commentary team of Jerry the King Lawler, Michael Cole, and Jim Ross. We mentioned all of them at one point or another. The only thing I'll ask is how is Jerry Lawler doing? Because I know he just had a stroke. We haven't talked about him much. Is there any updates about him? That's the only thing I'll ask.
I haven't heard anything about him. All that I know is that I'm glad to know that he's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think we got crapped on it because we didn't talk about it in the WWE like aftershock show that we do, but we didn't talk about it because we talked about it on a retro and we mentioned it. So I think a lot of people didn't watch that retro. So, but anyhow, the commentary team was pretty good. Michael Cole was a little bit of a fish out of water just because Kid and Jim Ross's commentary, they just have such great chemistry with each other. There's points where Michael Cole doesn't say anything, but it kind of does suck. I definitely think if it was Michael Cole now in the Triple H regime, he would have stood a better chance because I think Vince was probably yelling in his ear a couple times.
They renamed it. Okay.
And yeah, so there you go. By the way, if Noah's also watching AEW Dynamite at the same time, so that's why he's going to be doing some of the time. So
the AEW Athletic Championship is now known as the AEW Intercontinental Championship.
Oh, that's cool. I'm happy about that.
Okay, I like this.
But yeah, so going through the intro video package, they showed an intro video package. It was basically everybody sat down and they basically, since it was the 25th anniversary, which it really wasn't, they talked about what their favorite WrestleMania moments was, and obviously the big Mania moments that people mentioned were there. And they talk about how they were going to create their own moments. So what did you think of this video package? I thought it was really good. I think WWE always nails those.
If there's one thing we could say that's actually proper about WWE is that their video cinematography has always been on point, if not only grown over time. I like the fact that they call back with retrospectives of the current WWE superstars, talking about what got them to want to be a part of this immortal stage, WrestleMania. You talk about the ladder match with Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. Talk about the Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart, with the boyhood dream came true. You talk about the Irresistible Force meets the Memorable Object, where Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3. You talk about when Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Ultimate Warrior collided. You talk about when Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who of course was involved in this show, and how he had moments at WrestleMania. I feel it was really cool to have this retrospective at what they called the silver anniversary of this grand stage and the greatest spectacle of sports entertainment. Good stuff.
Yeah, really cool. We have the national anthem. This is America the Beautiful here. I will be interested to see if it's America the Beautiful because you don't know this, but the past few retros that we've done, it was the actual national anthem. I believe at 15 it was the national anthem, and at 2000 it was. So I am interested to see when that changes, when they actually switch it to America the Beautiful. Because, like I said before, I'm assuming there's some type of copyright reason that they can't say it the actual national anthem. But
Either that, or maybe they're trying to be, nation friendly. Because, like you said, I don't know.
yeah. Then we had the first match on the show. It was the Money in the Bank ladder match. It was CM Punk versus Mark Hamley with Tony Atlas ringside versus MVP, who was the United States champion at this time, versus Finley with Hornswoggle ringside versus Shelton Benjamin versus Kofi Kingston versus Christian versus Kane.
Yeah, real quick before you guys get into this, Noah, since you broke down the last match, Noah, do you want to break down this match with the notes you got?
Yeah, I mean, there were some key moments here. I mean, again, it's a Money in the Bank ladder match. You had a clash of styles here, but you had some good agility. You had some crazy spots. Shelton Benjamin nearly killed himself in at least a couple of moments. Kofi Kingston, when he was in Jamaica type character development, he brought the boom, he brought the energy, he brought the hype. And then Mark Henry, he brought big man antics and crushing people on ladders, your typical stuff here. So, I remember the boom drop, like I said, on the ladder after a drop kick to a ladder, dropped a couple of people. And then, of course, we had on the outside of the ring, Shelton Benjamin with that insane dive on everybody. I am so damn glad he didn't break his freaking neck, just saying. And then Finley and Hornswoggle, they both came out together, and Swoggle had his little step ladder, and he was used as a launching point. And that step ladder came into play as a weapon. Then Mark Hamley and Kofi Kingston. At one point, though, Kofi was able to take care of two men, but at the expense of his own body with the boom drop on the ladder on the mat. But then later on, when Mark Hamley comes into play, Kofi Kingston's able to jump in between a ladder, drop kick somebody. I believe it was Christian. But then he flash climbs another ladder that Mark Henry has. And I thought he was going to literally go up there as fast as he can and grab it, but he didn't. And then he ended up getting caught in Mark Henry's hands into a World's Strongest Slam. Then Shelton Benjamin comes back into play as MVP looks like he's about to get it. And Shelton Benjamin with a sunset flip powerbomb leaps over the ladder while there's a Richter set bridge there. And literally it looks like he didn't get the powerbomb, but he drove MVP cartoon style down each rung, neck first. At one point, we go back to the Richter set, and there's a kill switch from the ladder bridge to CM Punk when Christian Cage thought he was going to get, but CM Punk. And this, of course, continued their hostilities in the newish ECW. Bleh. And then, of course, we had Christian. I don't know how he did it. He and Shelton, they were like the only ones there, but somehow he was able to grab himself by Shelton and crash to the outside. He was able to bring the ladder back, have two ladders for balance, and then Kane came in and choke slammed him to the mat. Damn. And then finally, this Punk tries to come into play, but Kane keeps fighting him off. And then I remember he would go for the choke slam, but Punk finally kicks Kane. Again, the kicking prowess of CM Punk, just saying. And then finally pushes Kane off with all of his might, and CM Punk does it 2 years in a row and wins the Money in the Bank ladder match. For what it was worth, Shelton Benjamin definitely was the moment maker. Kofi Kingston had a good, fun showing here, but CM Punk capitalized in the end, and he did it 2 times in a row. So good on him. This was a fun match to open the show. And again, I missed this at WrestleMania.
yeah, I do miss this at Mania too. I was kind of hoping under the Triple H regime he'd put the match back at Mania because it would obviously solve the issue where it looks like a lot of people are going to be off of Mania now. And I feel like it's the easiest way to get people on Mania without having to write any storylines or anything like that. Because there wasn't any storylines here. I remember everybody had like a qualifying match to get onto the show at this point and stuff.
Yeah, it would
so that was cool.
Matter to actually be a part of this freaking match, but I digress.
But yeah, I liked the variety in this match. I liked that you had the 2 strong guys, the 2 big guys in Kane and Big Show. Christian and Shelton Benjamin were like the veteran ladder match experienced guys. Kofi was the new guy, but also the high flying guy. Finley was the guy that would do whatever it takes. CM Punk was the guy that had won it before. I think he was the only one in this match actually that won it before. And MVP, he was MVP. He did do some stuff, but yeah, he was cool. CM Punk winning it. So if you do watch this back, this isn't a very popular decision with the fans. A lot of people booed CM Punk because they didn't really want him to win this match, which was interesting. So I think if I had watched this at the time, I probably would have crapped on it that the WWE went with someone that they didn't really want them to go with. However, this is the beauty of retros. They do fix this later because they turned CM Punk heel on his cash in on Jeff Hardy. So it ended up kind of working out. Like, realistically, they probably should have given it to like Christian or maybe Shelton Benjamin. Christian, most likely, because if you remember, this was Christian's first WrestleMania back. He had just come back to the company at this time. But considering the fact that they ended up fixing the CM Punk issue, I'm totally cool with him winning this. Somebody had to win it 2 years in a row at one point. Because technically, I know Edge is the first two-time Money in the Bank contract holder, but he didn't win the match to actually get the contract. He beat somebody for a hit. So this was the first time that somebody actually won the briefcase. But yeah, I thought everybody in this match really delivered themselves. I gave this match 4 stars. It was a great opener. Then continuing, it showed the weekly WrestleMania events that I talked about, Access and the Art Museum or whatever. So that was cool. Kid Rock performs. So this is where this kind of hurts the show a lot. So
Kind of.
really hurts the show a lot. So
Unless you're performing a freaking entrance for a main eventer, you shouldn't be a freaking musical performer at a freaking WWE pay-per-view, especially WrestleMania, where you're taking time away and opportunity from other freaking talent that deserves a chance. And of course, I know what this led to, and I want you to talk about this cockload of shit.
So yeah. But yeah, he performs. The only song I knew that he sang was the Backlash 08 theme song. I don't even remember what it is, but that's the song he performed. I didn't even know it was him, honestly, that performed that song. I thought it was AC/DC that performed that song, but I'm not a music guy.
AC/DC did something different, and they were also a different official theme for WrestleMania. I think they have War Machine as the AC/DC theme.
But I'm not a I obviously don't like these segments anyway because I'm not a music guy. So I do want to go back because I did talk about. I think a lot of people have said that Hardy's Royal Rumble performance this year was worse than this. I feel like people should take this back when you go watch this. So at least Hardy is on and does one song and then that's it. Like I think Kid Rock's out there for like 20 minutes. It feels like, but it's probably like 10 minutes.
Correct. He did like 3 or 4 songs. I don't remember. I fast forward for that nonsense.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so it leads to the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, and yeah, so everybody comes out doing the song where he sings "Because You Know You're So Hard, I Want to Keep You Strong." By the way, this is a PG company at this time. The song that he sings here are not very PG, so it's like, yeah, what a great way to get over your PG rating by having a guy come out there and sing songs that aren't even PG. Great stuff right there.
Lines.
You can just tell the fans were, by the way, slowly losing interest in this. They struggled. They do that bit in concerts. I've never been to a concert, but I assume they do this for every concert, where he holds the mic up and he expects the fans to sing. I remember there's at one point he holds the mic up. Nobody sings. It's completely dead. I thought that was, well, it was bad, but I thought it was funny because I just laugh at that stuff sometimes, as you know. But yeah, so we had the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal. Pretty much there's no storylines here. They were going to do this Miss WrestleMania thing, which I think everyone thought was going to be a yearly thing, which when you see how the match turns out, it doesn't end up being the case. But the biggest storyline about this match is that Santino Marella for weeks tried to get into this Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal because he didn't understand why he couldn't be on it. He thought it was sexist that a man couldn't be in a Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal. So he wanted to be in it. And he was in it all right, but we'll talk about that later. Going through the participants, we had Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, Eve Torres, Gail Kim, Jackie Gator, Jillian Hall, Joy Giovanni, I think is how you say that. Katie Lee Burchill, sorry. I almost said Kaylee Ray by accident. Not Killer Kelly, Kelly Kelly.
Botch.
Yeah, I don't know why those names. I just saw those names and other names.
Killer K would not be friggin' dejectify in women's wrestling by that shit.
No way. Layla, Maria, just Maria, no Kanellis. Maurice, Melina, Michelle McCool, Mickey James, Molly Holly, Natalia, Nikki Bella, Rosa Mendez, Sunny, Tiffany, Tori Wilson, and Victoria. Yeah, so let's I don't even know where to begin. So let's Mae Young was the guest timekeeper, who you don't even know is out there until like 2 minutes into the match. And Candice Michelle, I think, was there because I think she got injured like right before this match was going to happen or something. So they never, they never go back to it or anything. I don't know. I feel like she never even comes back anyways because I'm pretty sure she's like out of the company when she's able to come back. But this match was terrible. It's the worst match of the night. Well, it's not my least favorite match of the night, though. That's the main event. But this actually is the worst match of the night. And pretty much it's the crappy battle royals that you always saw with the Divas division at this time, where it's through the ropes. The eliminations happen really quickly. Some of these people in the match you don't even know are in the match until they're eliminated and they tell you about it, and you didn't even get that big pop. Like people would have popped for like a Tori Wilson or a Molly Holly because they hadn't been in the company for a while. Yeah, it's just really bad match. It's basically those Survivor Series matches you always saw with the women where they're gone at like that pretty much. It comes down to like the final four, which is like Michelle McCool, Mickie James, I guess final five, Beth Phoenix, Melina, and a mystery woman who was unnamed, which we'll talk about. Beth Phoenix was in there. I don't think I said her name, but Maurice, the Divas champion at this time, was eliminated like nothing. Jerry the King Lawler's commentary was back to the Attitude Era commentary, which was if you like that stuff from the Attitude Era, then cool. But that wasn't my jam. He was really annoying here on commentary, and I think it's more annoying here because the guy's older here, so it's kind of creepy that he's hitting on all these women. But if that's your jam, that's cool. Eventually, Michelle McCool and Mickie James eliminate each other when Mickie James tries to do her Hurricanrana out of the corner, but they both end up eliminating each other. And then it comes down to Beth Phoenix and Melina. And the mystery person eliminates both of them. And Justin Roberts, who's the ring announcer here, goes to announce this person as the winner, but we don't know who it is. Or at least we're not meant to know who it is. So he stops, and then both Candice, Michelle, Mae Young, and Justin Roberts go into the ring. He says, the winner of this match, and the mystery person introduces himself. I don't want to say itself because that's not politically accurate anymore. But the mystery person, accurate. The mystery person introduces themselves, and it's Santina Marella. Santina Marella's twin sister from Italy. Santina Marella puts the satchel and crown on and dances around, and it was just terrible. There's a reason they've never done this match again because they botched it the first time. This match was really bad, and it's not just bad because of the result. The match was bad anyways. If you want to say, well, you didn't really break down much of the match, there's nothing to break down here. It's just a bunch of battle royal spots that are just terrible here. This match is -3 stars. This match is freaking awful. I've seen the bad matches at like WrestleMania 15, 2000, and they're really bad matches, but this is worse because at least those matches have a chance to do something and they don't really piss you off as much. It's easier to look at. This was just terrible. I thought this was awful here. What'd you think?
The less this talks about, the better off we are today in an era where women's wrestling is at least much more respected in WWE, but is still flawed. R.I.P. Divas.
Yep. Santina Marella would be a thing for a while. Santina, I don't know because it's Santina Marella pretty much dressed in drag. But Santina Marella, I think, lost the Miss WrestleMania. Like, I don't even know if it's a title, but lost the Miss WrestleMania satchel or whatever to Vicky Guerrero, then won it back at Extreme Rules in a hog pin match that was crap. And then when Donald Trump bought Raw, he fired Santino Marella, so we never saw Santino Marella come back as that gimmick. But in kayfabe, they are different people because we saw Santino Marella come up afterwards. So in kayfabe, they are different people. We saw Santino Marella come back one more time as this gimmick in, I believe, the 2018 Royal Rumble, which was largely crapped on.
Where's the spot?
And then, yeah, that was just terrible. Going through the other competitors in the match as a career retrospective. Alicia Fox, I think we did a career retrospective and on a Raw 2017 retro. Brie Bella, we did a career retrospective in the 2011 Rumble retro. Same with Eve Torres. Gail Kim, we actually did it in the Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Jackie Gator, not a lot to really look up. I think Jackie Gator really disappeared from the business pretty much, and I think works in real estate now. Jillian Hall, we did a career retrospective on the SmackDown 07 retro. Joe Giovanni, you can't really find any new information on. You really don't know anything about her. Katie Lee Burchill was released from WWE shortly after this, and then she went on to TNA in 2010, 2011-ish, and was Winter and was a tag team with Angelina Love and that crappy storyline. And then I think once that storyline ended, she was released from the company. And then she worked the indies, came back one more time, and was Grado's, I almost said boyfriend, but girlfriend, for like a month, and then was gone again. And now she just kind of wrestles in the indies and stuff. Kelly, we've covered in the Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Layla, we covered in the Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Maria, we covered in the Royal Rumble 2008 retro. Maurice, I believe we covered in the no, we haven't covered Maurice before. So Maurice would go on to lose the Divas titles to Mickie James later in the year. She got injured or married to the Miz, I forget. And then she came back, won the Divas title again, and then was in the company until like 2011. She retired full-time from the business, and then was married to the Miz. She came back in 2016 as the Miz's manager, and she did that till like 2017, and now she's basically a mom. And occasionally they will bring her back to have a match, whether it's a mixed tag with the Miz or a one-on-one match, but occasionally she has come back. Melina, basically, this was her last year in the company. She had that weird thing where she turned heel on Natalya after this, and then afterwards was gone from the company. And then she worked the indies for a while. I believe she showed up in Lucha Underground on like the last episode of season 1 and helped Johnny Mundo defeat Alberto El Patron in the main event, but they didn't really follow up on it because Alberto El Patron himself left, and I think she just didn't come back. And I think they like had back Johnny Mundo and Melina had heat with each other, so they never came back. And then Melina's worked the independents, particularly in NWA, and she showed up in the Royal Rumble 2022 last year and had a pretty crappy appearance in the Rumble, to be honest. And then I remember she wrestled Scarlett Bordeaux in May of 2022 on the Indies, like right before Scarlett and Karrion Kross made their way back to WWE. So cool. Speaking of cool, Michelle McCool, we've covered in Royal Rumble 2011 retro. So go watch that retro. Mickie James, we covered in New Year's Revolution 06 retro. So go watch that. Molly Holly, I think we covered in Survivor Series 03 retro because I'm pretty sure she has a match there. Natalya, we've covered in Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Nikki Bella, we covered Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Rosa Mendez, after the partnership with Beth Phoenix ended, was basically enhancement talent for a while. She really didn't do all that much in the business. She was just kind of there. I think she was on Total Divas at one point. She was the valet for Fandango and then the valet of Adam Rose, and then was released and retired from the business. Sunny is really a top one to talk about. I don't even know where to begin with Sunny. Basically, Sunny, I think, was inducted into the 2011 Hall of Fame. And I'm pretty sure she's one of the people that sold a Hall of Fame win. I thought I heard something about that. But I might be wrong. But Sunny basically has been in and out of jail throughout the years. I believe there's a whole Wikipedia page where it's just dedicated to how many times a Sunny has been in jail, which is just hilarious. I know you don't find it hilarious because it's a bad situation, but I just found it funny that she's been in jail so often that there's a whole Wikipedia page about it. So, yeah, just Sunny. I don't know. Sunny just can't keep her nose clean and all that type of stuff, and she gets thrown in jail for various things. And then Tiffany I think she was the assistant to Teddy Long, who was the ECW general manager at this time. And shortly after this, she herself would become the ECW general manager because Teddy Long went on to become the general manager of SmackDown, when Vicky Guerrero became the permanent GM of Raw. And eventually, when ECW discontinued as a branch, it became a diva, active diva, competing week to week on SmackDown. And then she had like a divorce with Drew McIntyre, so she was released from the company. Not because of that. I just think she was released from the company to kind of deal with that. And then she worked the indies. She showed up in TNA and had amazing matches in the Knockouts divisions. More specifically, the last Knockout Standard match between Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim at Slammiversary 2013, which was incredible. One of my favorite woman matches of all time. And then I think she she took time off to have a baby and stuff. And then she was brought back in 2015 under that crappy dollhouse gimmick. It was terrible. And I think she left again. I think she came back like one more time and had like one final run at Impact. And then she signed with the NWA, and my opinion anyways, had a really bad run in the NWA, like really terrible. And it really sucks more that it was her last run because she's retired now. And the last thing I'm going to remember of her was that terrible run in the NWA, but whatever. Tori Wilson, we've covered before. I believe it was in the, I forget which retro it was, but it was like an early 2000s retro. And then Victoria, we've covered also before, I believe. I think we covered her in like one of the SmackDown retros. So this is actually funny, by the way, but Victoria had just left the business, like left the company too also. And she was in the match. They talk about her. They didn't mention that this was her return. You would have thought she was on the roster all along if you just watched WrestleMania, nothing else. So yeah, like I said, there was a lot of that in this battle royal. Really terrible stuff. Next, we have the handicap elimination match. We had Chris Jericho versus Roddy Piper, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with Ric Flair inside. Take us through this match, Noah. Talk about the storyline behind this match and the match itself.
So basically, this match comes down to Mickey Rourke portraying a wrestler in The Wrestler and basically giving respect to those of the past in these Legends and Hall of Famers. Chris Jericho in his hypocritical, insecure, bias, suit-wearing personality running down the past. These leeches living off past glory. They do not belong in the same ring or in the same era as Chris Jericho. And that's what Chris Jericho basically put this towards. And he basically, in the end, after Ric Flair went up to him and says that he's going to be in his friend's corner and dropped in and broke his Rolex given to him, that was crossing a line. The match was made. 3-on-1 handicap match. As Chris Jericho with Mickey Rourke in attendance, after Mickey Rourke already was called out and backed down from a challenge, he took on Roddy Piper, the Hot Rod, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And this was the first ever Hall of Fame team at WrestleMania. This was a bit odd. I clearly knew the result. And of course, Ric Flair was in their corner, but the foursome coming down, that was pretty damn awesome. Not going to lie. But anyway, Hot Rod started off in the only way he knows how, brawling, and beat the daylights out of Jericho for the going. And then, let's see here. There was arm drags, of course, by Chris Jericho to Rick Steamboat when he was tagged in. And then the Walls of Jericho. After the three got a little bit of offense on him, Snuka was the first one to be eliminated as he's passed out, submitted by the Walls of Jericho. And then Piper comes in, typical from the eye, and then puts in a sleeper hold. But then Enziguri, after driven into the ropes, Jericho eliminates Piper in quick fashion. Star player of this match was definitely Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. There was a couple of close encounters where I thought he was going to win. Nice crossbody. He skins the cat over the top and wipes out Jericho with a plunge. I couldn't believe it. Jericho, though, he goes for the lion salt, misses, and then there's a nice scoop slam for a nice near fall for the Dragon again. Inside cradle near fall, but then Chris Jericho, he finally hits a code breaker and wins, and that's it. But then Ric Flair comes in, wasn't going to have it, and of course, he does what he does always. He fights because he is, of course, styling and profile, always up to, again, be Ric Flair. The moves rain out, and then he gets a backdrop, and then he gets code breaker. So Chris Jericho's in the ring by himself, and then Mickey Rourke is literally called out. Rourke eventually gives in to Jericho's instigating, enters the ring, gets a couple of body shots in, boxer stance, and then he catches Jericho with a light left hook as Ric Flair respects Mickey Rourke, and of course Mickey Rourke endorses the Nature Boy. And that's it, as Chris Jericho might have won the match against the Legends, but was embarrassed by a movie star who honored the Legends in the end.
Yeah, this was good stuff here. I like this a lot. Obviously, the standout, like you said, is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. The fact that he could still go at this level was crazy. I'm really happy that, in a sense, it did work out, because selfishly, I got to see Steamboat live. There's a venue in Boston, not in Boston, but in Cohasset, called the Music Circus, and he actually wrestled Drew McIntyre right before he re-debuted in WWE, which is really cool that I got to see Ricky Steamboat live.
Nice.
And yeah, this is just a good match here. I gave the match 3 stars, mainly for that incredible performance by Steamboat and Jericho. And this obviously set the table for the rematch that they would have at Backlash. I wish they could have had that match here, but I'm actually cool with, Piper and Snuka getting one final moment. I know a lot of people say a lot of crap about Snuka, but I'm not here to talk about that right now.
Nah, I'm not here to talk about that either. And again, the pop that the freaking Hot Rod's theme got when it was played. Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah, I just like this. And Jericho gets the win, and he gets his comeuppance afterwards. I thought it was a home run here. I give the match 3 stars. I know a lot of people crap on Mickey Rourke because his punch obviously didn't look that good and all that type of stuff. I'm just kind of like whatever about it.
At this point, it's like meh.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, like you said, this was supposed to be Chris Jericho versus Mickey Rourke, but Mickey Rourke backed out of the match, like you said, because when Jericho went on that live interview, he was in character, but I think Mickey Rourke thought he was actually like being legit. Like, that was just hilarious how that happens, where they worked themselves into a shoot pretty much. But nobody really to go over career retrospectives here except for Mickey Rourke. I did do some research on Mickey Rourke, but pretty much he just kind of transitioned into acting and stuff afterwards. The biggest thing I think he's done is he was in Iron Man 2. I've never seen that movie, so I couldn't tell you what he did in Iron Man 2. Obviously, if you could get like a superhero who watches all that stuff, here they would tell you. But Mickey Rourke does show up there, but he's done obviously other acting roles and things like that. This would be Ric Flair's last WrestleMania for years, because he would sign with TNA in 2010.
Right.
And this was all these 3 Hall of Famers' last WrestleMania in a match capacity. But it was cool because they were all a part of the first WrestleMania somehow. So it was cool that they all got to be a part of the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. Next we had I'm going to talk about this one because I'm going to let you talk about the okay.
Look,
I'll talk about the next.
Let's be honest here, all right? You and I talked about before we even got on the air. This show was at its highest point, a 3-match show. This was one of them. And you are going to collab on what was the match of the night and my match in WWE history as a fan. But for now, talk about the Battle of the Hardys.
So yeah, we had Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy Extreme Rules match. I'll just say this. This was good, but the feud headed into it. It had its moments, but they really dropped the ball on it at one point. I don't know why in WWE, they never could get the Hardys feud right because they feuded back in 2001. But obviously, because they dropped the ball on it so bad, I'm pretty sure they just kind of moved on from it. They never had a rematch or anything like that. So they tried it again in 2009. Jeff Hardy was the WWE champion in the Royal Rumble, and he was defending the title against Edge. And Matt Hardy turned on his brother, Jeff Hardy. And he said he did this because he didn't want to live under the shadow of Jeff Hardy anymore. He wanted to break out on his own, and he talked about how he was the one that took care of Jeff Hardy because without him, Jeff Hardy basically would be dead, which does not sound good here in hindsight. But
no, it does not.
But it led to various Matt Hardy attacking people and everything like that. Eventually, Matt Hardy wanted his brother to fight him, and Jeff Hardy did not want to fight his brother. He refused to. They basically took the Kane and Undertaker approach to this, where Matt Hardy tried to goat Jeff Hardy into fighting him, and he refused. He cost Jeff Hardy a few opportunities to get back the world title, cost him a chance to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Jeff still wouldn't fight him. Then we have where the feud went horribly wrong, I think. I know sometimes they say, well, that's just one thing. One thing sometimes can really hurt a feud sometimes. And this was the thing here. So Matt Hardy mentioned, because Jeff Hardy had all these terrible things happen to him in 2008. He had the incident where he was attacked on the stairwell, so he wasn't able to compete in the WWE title match at Survivor Series 08. He had the incident where like the pyro went off and it exploded in his face pretty much. And he had that car accident. And he mentioned that these could have just been terrible tragedies, or maybe somebody had it out for you. But you would think, by the way, like, okay, Matt's just going to say that he did all those things. Then the storyline takes an ugly turn. So in 08, I think it was during Jeff's suspension, it was reported that Jeff Hardy house burnt down and his dog didn't survive pretty much. And Matt Hardy mentioned that. And he doesn't outright say it, but he basically implies that he was the one who set the fire pretty much.
Yeah, what you can say without directly saying it. I mean, let's just put it out there, all right?
Yeah. So that's when the storyline, I think, kind of got gross right there. Not because basically they're implying that Matt Hardy basically killed an animal pretty much. And that there's a lot of things that you can get away with in the wrestling business. I assume you've had these conversations with people, Noah. Some of the things you can't get away with is mentioning somebody's mental health, talking about death, and there's a third thing, but I don't remember what it is. But I'm gonna add a fourth thing. Even though it involves death, I feel like you should never mention beating up an animal. Pretty much, that should never be a thing in the professional wrestling business.
I completely agree.
And it did get Jeff Hardy to finally snap, but I feel like the storyline was a bit gross after that. Jeff Hardy finally wanted the match to be Extreme Rules, and that kind of led us to here. It really sucks that they added that element into this storyline, because this storyline was pretty much dead in the water a little bit at this point. I still think the fire was there and everything like that. I just think the fans really didn't feel all that comfortable because they were talking about the fact that Matt Hardy killed Jeff's dog pretty much. But yeah, going over the match itself, this match is good. I thought the match was a little too short. I thought this match, again, should have gone longer, but, because Kid Rock had to have his time, it cut this match short. At least I think so anyways.
I think it cut a match short that we'll talk about later, but anyway, continue.
By the way, I forgot to mention Kid Rock. We didn't do a career retrospective on Kid Rock. He still performs. He went into the Hall of Fame, I think, in like 2018 under the Celebrity win. And then he was supposed to like perform for the Undertaker's theme in 2018, but he didn't show up, which I'm happy about because we didn't get the American Badass taker out of it, so that was good. But whatever. I don't care about Kid Rock, so I forgot to do research on him. But going through this match, Jeff Hardy just unleashes on his brother, just destroys his brother, beats the crap out of his brother. He does the yeah. He does he takes out a WrestleMania poster and hits Matt Hardy right off the head with it, and the poster like completely breaks on him, which was cool. He hits the Poetry in Motion from the steps onto the barricade, and then this ends up hurting Jeff Hardy's knee. And Matt Hardy went after the knee of Jeff Hardy, really targeted it, hit it with the chair a few times. Jeff Hardy went for the whisper in the wind, and Matt Hardy hit it his leg with the chair when he came down on impact. The match gets gross a little bit because I believe it was during the entrances or something where they're talking about the fire and everything like that. And Jerry the King Lawler is trying to defend it by saying he didn't say that he burned down his house. Michael Cole's just like, he might as well say it. It's like, okay, stop talking about that, guys. Move on, please.
There's some elements to a story that not even commentary needs to reflect.
Yeah. But yeah, Matt Hardy targets the leg of Jeff Hardy. He really works over it. He hits a side effect onto the steel chair. But I don't care what happens. Matt Hardy's never winning with the side effect. I don't think he's ever won a match in his life with the side effect. Like,
not that I can recall.
If a criminal broke into his house and he hits the side effect, I don't think the criminal would leave. I think the criminal would stay right there. So, eventually Jeff Hardy mounts a comeback. He starts beating up his brother again. He destroys him with the steel chair. He grabs a kendo stick and a crutch and just hits Matt Hardy with really quick offense with it, just destroying him. And he grabbed the trash can, he puts it on Matt, and he does the thing where he does the leg drop, like it from the corner and stuff. It didn't look as good as I think they thought it was gonna, but it still got the job done. And then eventually, Matt Hardy hits a twist of fate, which I think they changed to the twist of hate eventually. But Jeff Hardy kicks out. And Matt Hardy sets up the tables. Eventually, Jeff Hardy mounts a comeback. He hits a drop kick on the outside. He puts Matt on the table. He puts a chair on him, and he stacks another table up. And Jeff hits a splash through both tables, destroying Matt Hardy. And that's not enough, though. Jeff wants to make his brother suffer. And Jeff goes for the signature Hardy moves, what they would always hit in the TLC matches, which is the split leg drop kick over the ladder. However, he misses, and Matt Hardy recovers. He puts a chair around his neck and hits a twist of fate while the chair's around Jeff's neck and gets the win. I actually thought Matt Hardy winning was a smart thing. I like the way that he won, where Jeff took too many risks and Matt was smart. With the benefit of hindsight, I do kind of wish they would have had Matt Hardy lose. Because think about it, we could have gotten the broken gimmick in WWE if they had thought of it back then, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But this match was good. I gave it 3 stars. I thought the match could have gone like another 10 minutes or so, and it could have been something really epic. But I still think the match was good enough. It did kind of feel like the WWE was trying to help them out in terms of piecing together the match, but I didn't really think they needed the help. I thought Matt and Jeff could have pieced together the match themselves, and they didn't really need any agents or anything like that. But again, I think when you have Kid Rock out there performing his songs, things like that are going to get cut. So I still gave the match 3 stars. I think the match should have gone on like a little later in the card, though. I think it just should have been the case, but not obviously after Undertaker Shawn Michaels, but it should have been at a different point in the show. But what did you think of this match?
Again, human car wreck, as I expected. That crazy table stack sandwich with Matt in between, dive to the outside. I thought that was already ridiculous enough. And we saw a shop vac used earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, Matt Hardy being the crazy daredevil that he is, pop-up plunge and from a 10-foot ladder to a 12-foot ladder, down to the ground, the shades of WrestleMania 23 with a ladder step-up assist. He eats nothing but canvas. I'm pretty sure he breaks his coccyx and his spine and is unconscious. And somehow that's still not enough for Matt. He has to do a twist of fate in a chair. Matt Hardy wins his overkill. What Matt Hardy came out to do, he did. But come on, man. That was just... This just felt uncomfortable. And Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, extreme situation... That just sounds like normal, but the storyline made it feel uncomfortable, and that ending, I was just worried for Matt Hardy's well-being. It was okay for what it was as far as a battle of brothers, but yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. After this, they would have a couple more matches. They would have the stretcher match on the following SmackDown where Matt would win again. Then they had the I Quit match at Backlash, which I think was a better match where Jeff obviously...
definitely better. We literally trapped him, and Matt's begging, and then he says, I quit, and he still breaks him.
Yeah. And then Matt turned back babyface. I think Matt went off TV for a little bit. I think he had like an appendix surgery or an arm injury or both. I forget which one. And then Matt came back as a babyface. And if you want to know where Matt and Jeff ended up, I think you can watch one of the retro reviews from the 2000s. I think it's actually SummerSlam 2000 where we covered... both Hardys in their career. The only new information we could say about Jeff Hardy, I haven't been able to talk about this yet, is now he doesn't have to serve jail time anymore. I think now he just has to do like community service, and he's lost his license for like 10 years now. And he's possibly coming back to AEW soon. I really don't think he should come back. I really hope that Tony Khan's not considering this. They need to let Jeff stay home until he gets his personal life situated. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's your opinion, Noah, but that's just my opinion.
I think it's a fair take, and I kind of agree with you on that opinion. Bottom line, again, you are your own worst enemy. If you don't seek the aid, and those that support you, you don't adhere to what they're trying to suggest to you, you're just going down your own road of destruction. At this point, the only intervention is keeping a man trapped, then I say do it, because good grief almighty.
Next, Randy Orton's backstage. Nothing happens. I thought something was going to happen because it seemed like he was going to say something, but then he doesn't say anything, so that was that. He's backstage with Legacy, who at the time was Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes. This was Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania appearance here, which is kind of funny because he's potentially going to dethrone Roman Reigns, and he's at least main event in WrestleMania one of the nights this year, so it's kind of interesting how that happened. Career retrospective. Actually, we did career retrospective. I was going to do a career retrospective on Ted DiBiase Jr., but I forgot he showed up in the Royal Rumble 2011 retro, so you can just watch that retro for that. Cody Rhodes, you can watch, I believe, Full Gear 2019. The only new thing that's come up about Cody Rhodes is that he's won the Royal Rumble now and is main event in one of the nights of WrestleMania, so it's good for him.
I imagine it has to be night 2 because the biggest match at that show should be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Finish the story.
Next match is the Intercontinental Championship match. It was JBL defending the title against Rey Mysterio. JBL consistent. Yeah, there's a reason Noah laughed.
Go ahead, because literally you could describe this match in less than the time it actually was. Go ahead.
Yeah, but going through the match, JBL wanted to get to WrestleMania as a champion. He tried to get his world champion, but that didn't go too well. So he tried to face Undertaker at WrestleMania, but that didn't go as planned either. Shawn Michaels has something to say to JBL about that. So he won the Intercontinental Championship from CM Punk, and he's happy because he's going into WrestleMania as champion. Rey Mysterio to challenge him to a match at WrestleMania. He got it. They just randomly threw this match on the show. Rey Mysterio beat him on the Go Home episode, so I think a lot of people were thinking that Rey was going to lose here since this was back at that time where if you stood tall on the Go Home show, you weren't winning at the pay-per-view type of thing. But JBL comes out. He rags on Texas and sports teams and everything like that. You know, the typical stuff that wrestlers say that Noah and I don't care about because we ain't sports guys. And Rey Mysterio comes out dressed like the Joker. I don't really think it was a good Joker, but it was the Joker. This is my opinion anyways. And the referee's going through the rules. JBL cheap shots Rey Mysterio, hits a big boot on him, but destroys him. And the referee tries to talk Rey Mysterio out of having the match, saying he doesn't have to do this. We can do this another day. But Rey Mysterio wants to have the match anyways. JBL goes for the clothesline from hell. Ducks it, hits an enziguri, hits a 619 and a splash. That's it. Match was 21 seconds. Rey Mysterio wins the Intercontinental Championship. I'll give the match like a 2. I thought it was a very fitting way for JBL to go out because afterwards JBL quit, and this was the last. This was the last match I think JBL ever had, unless he's had a match.
Definitely a history-making moment.
I think he's the first one at WrestleMania to ever like quit the company, like not leave. So, yeah, because he's technically not the first one to quit, because I believe that goes to Bob Backlund because he lost like an I Quit match to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 11, I believe. So he's the first one to quit and leave their job at a WrestleMania. So he definitely made history. I thought this was a very fitting way for JBL to leave the business. Was an embarrassment because that's exactly what you expect that character to do. That's why I'm surprised James ain't doing this, because JBL gets embarrassed on this show. This is the last thing he ever saw. Well, not the last thing, but the last time we see of JBL as a wrestler. And I figured James would be all over this. He would have loved this. He would have given this match like a 10-star rating right here. But you know, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. This is going to be James's only chance to talk about it, and he completely botched it. So, but I gave this a 2 stars. I thought it was a very fitting way for JBL to go. The thing that sucks,
yeah, it's a Texas area. Go back to New York. I mean,
yeah,
that was funny. That's all I gotta say. That was funny. Shout out to the Heath Ledger Joker mask, by the way, that Rey Mysterio was wearing. Joke was on JBL that night for damn sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing that sucked about this, I think that made me upset, is this was like the first Intercontinental Championship match in like years, and we wouldn't get another one until like 2012 at WrestleMania 28. And it sucked that this was the IC title match. I kind of wish, they would have done Jericho, maybe Mysterio, and have their feud start earlier. Maybe have Way win the IC title somehow or something.
I just think they just didn't have a direction for their kind of championship at the time. And so they just call an audible and put out Rey Mysterio, and then we all saw what that led to. And even then, there wasn't a whole lot going on with that. A long time during that period of time, the Intercontinental title was just kind of lost in the shuffle.
Yep. But here's somebody that wasn't lost. Here's 2 wrestlers right here that were not lost in the shuffle. And since this is the reason we're here, I'd like to talk about it. It's Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, Icon versus Icon. Go through the storyline and the match and everything.
You go back to the 2 men that you have here. One represents all that is pure and light nowadays. The other one, a constant of darkness, despair, nightmares. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And The Undertaker has never beaten Shawn Michaels one-on-one. Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania. Even if Undertaker is the streak, the phenom of WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels has never been outshined, outperformed. He has always been the showstopper for a reason. This stemmed to the fact that Shawn Michaels came out some hard times, no longer being Employee of the Month under one that you just spoke about, JBL. And he felt at this point he was living heaven on earth, and there's only one thing left he needed to do in his illustrious career, and that was to end The Undertaker's undefeated streak, because he believed it was his destiny, because he believes he has the answer that no one else has had, and that is sweet chin music. As we've seen countless weeks, he hit it out of nowhere, and then he preached a gospel. How in the beginning, there was nothing but darkness, and then light came to be. The darkness was called night, and the light called day. Yea, for I walk through a valley of doubt, I will fear no evil. The theatrics in the promos alone, the contrast of styles, mannerisms, mind games to a T, everything up before the entrance even, was enough to put me into this match, as it was one final sales statement in that video package. Sometimes it is truly hell trying to get to heaven. As Undertaker gave Shawn Michaels a warning that you have unleashed the devil and have opened the floodgates to hell, and you will rest in peace. And so here we come to WrestleMania, as one is descended, from the heavens down to the ground. The light beating down upon him. And then the power goes up, and we get, of course, the showstopper heart rate kid, Shawn Michaels, making, of course, his way into WrestleMania, as good old JR sadly talks about on commentary. And as he goes from absolute joy, ecstatic energy, we get serious. Because for years, the Phenom's entrance was used as a mind game. Shawn Michaels, unstirred, as rising from underneath, out of the darkness, the Phenom makes his way into the ring. The field is set. The emotion, you could hear a pin drop for a moment, and then the place explodes and the bell rings, and we were underway. Right out of the gate, Shawn Michaels, with, of course, his mind games continuing, showstopping at WrestleMania, getting the better of The Undertaker, psyching him out at a point, including faking out where he may have tweaked his knee, and then getting the better. But then Undertaker reminded Shawn Michaels who he is, took control with his power, including going old school, and then got the snake eyes with the nice leg job in the middle of the ring. Followed by that, though, there was a nice choke slam countered into a crossface, and he was definitely applying enough pressure for a moment, but even though he didn't have good positioning, he still kept a hold even after Undertaker nearly moved his shoulders down for a 3. Shawn never released it. Eventually, though, we get a side slam counter by The Undertaker into another near fall. Both men are down, but we get a kip up, Manhattan drop, and a chop. Shawn Michaels going to the chop game, while The Undertaker, of course, relied on his, well, he's a striker, loaded right hands, of course, those gloves. But then the dead man rose, choke slam, fake out, into the figure 4 leg lock, into the Hell's Gate, but faithfully Shawn Michaels was able to make his way into the ropes. As this match progresses, The Undertaker sets up Shawn Michaels for a big leg drop on the apron, but Shawn gets out of the way, and then follows up with a low baseball slide. Looking for go for broke. Again, he is the showstopper, but sometimes he can also stop his own show. He goes for a moonsault and crashes to the floor after being simply swatted to the side by The Undertaker. As The Undertaker goes back inside the ring and lays down, and everything stops for a moment for now as the ref checks and Shawn on the outside. Then Undertaker rises up, and and this giant man launches himself over the top, but Shawn pulls aside a cameraman in the way, and The Undertaker crashes and burns to the floor while the referee is saved and Shawn is outside of things. Shawn finally gathering consciousness, he finally brings the ref inside the ring, and when he finally gets the ref too, he asks the ref to count him out, because at the end of the day, Shawn was out to prove that he is the one that had to, can, and will beat the streak. The closest and longest 10 count you could ever remember to 9.5. Undertaker makes it back in. Shawn Michaels, though, still defiant. He finally goes for the ace in the hole. He looks for Sweet Chin Music, but misses. In one of the most emphatic chokeslams I've ever fucking seen from heights. Plants it to the mat, and Shawn Michaels kicks out. As Undertaker is back in control and is Morpheus still don't believe it, Sweet Chin Music out of nowhere crawls into the cover, and I swear that count was longer than it should have been. And another near fall, this time for the challenger to the streak. As we're finally wondering who could capitalize here, what's going to happen, he gets caught and then rises again, goes for a sunset flip attempt for a rope route, didn't work, counter into counter for counter, and then finally Undertaker hooks him up for an emphatic last ride. The whiplash of Shawn's head off the damn mat, and another freaking kick out. Couldn't believe it. Undertaker couldn't anyway. Then Undertaker, a rare thing. He went to Shawn Michaels' well. High wrist direct, top rope with his own elbow drop, and misses. As Shawn Michaels looks to capitalize, Shawn is tossed to the outside of the ring, or so we thought, but he tries to skin the cat. Undertaker, though, Shawn Michaels gets caught. JR emphatic. He's like, my God, Shawn Michaels got caught. Tombstone pile driver. That had to be it. This thing was over. We were all right there. And a kick out. I couldn't believe it. No, I couldn't believe it. Undertaker's face tells the story better than good old JR ever could. Even though he said, I just had out-of-body experience. The closest of near falls we can remember to a tombstone pile driver. As Undertaker finally gathers himself, figured about how much more devious he could be, what more he needs to do to stop the heart of Mr. WrestleMania, He goes for another tombstone, but that gets countered somehow into a DDT. Brilliant by Shawn Michaels, who basically works on autopilot at this point, finds his way to the top rope, hits the elbow drop, tunes up the band. We get to a 5 count, finally hits another fast sweet chin music, goes in the cover, and another kick out again. How's this even possible? Both men are down, both men trying to find leverage to stay on the vertical base, using each other with everything they have left, considering what this is about and where they're at. Chops versus the right, chops versus the right, chops versus the right. You're wondering who was going to lay the final shot needed to put the other down. Bing! Boop by The Undertaker. Stops Shawn Michaels dead in his tracks. As he follows up from that, there's a run-in boot by Shawn, though, in the corner, who looks to finally go high risk again, maybe hit the one thing he needs to that he didn't hit earlier. And somehow, I noticed in the background, they didn't mention this commentary, there was this subtleness behind Shawn Michaels. I noticed he was saying, I was like, oh no. Moonsault caught, and another emphatic tombstone pile driver. 1, 2, 3. He did it. 17-0 as both men lay out completely motionless afterwards in the middle of the ring for an immortal moment in WWE in WrestleMania history. If it's sometimes truly hell trying to get to heaven, we witness what heaven looks like in sports entertainment professional wrestling. As eventually The Undertaker did rise and kneeled before his followers, his worshipers, his stage, because it is still his yard as the graphics goes up with the digital moon and the night lighting, and the 17-0 was there. Again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. In my 31 years professional wrestling fan, sports entertainment fan, up to that point, that was my favorite, greatest WrestleMania match and my favorite match in wrestling history. Because I followed Shawn Michaels my entire life. He is probably my favorite wrestler still to this day, considering his longevity and what he's doing now to guide the future. You can talk about Undertaker all you want. That's why I'm going to let you finally talk when I'm done here. But again, if this was not going to be the moment that the streak was going to be broken, I truly believe the streak should not have been broken or was never going to be. This, for me, was the final match of the streak. I don't give a fuck what you tell me about the matches going forward.
That's fair enough. Incredible match here. Just great story, great characters. Everything about this match you said really worked. It's 5 stars. Obviously, the only thing to mention is, obviously, Sim Snuka nearly killed The Undertaker because that cameraman you mentioned was Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Sim Snuka's son. And, to be honest, the streak could have been broken IRL because if Undertaker legitimately got knocked out, as you know, Noah, the ref has to call it like a suit. He could have counted The Undertaker out right then and there.
He could have. I thought he was going to. Shawn Michaels was pleading, begging for it. He was going to take the win any way he could. I thought that was the moment. I thought that was the freaking moment. Especially when Undertaker collapsed on his way to the ring. Come on!
Yeah. Just the drama in this match, the facial expressions, everything about this match worked. It's easily 5 stars. I don't know how you can't give it anything other than that. The thing that sucks about this match the most is the card structure in this match. This match should have main evented.
Thank you.
Vince McMahon was an idiot for not main eventing this match. I'm pretty sure I heard rumors that Vince McMahon wasn't even going to give him as much time as he did. And Shawn and The Undertaker had to push for this match to go as long as it did, pretty much.
Thank you, Bryce.
And thankfully, if they won that, they could have won the main event slot. And it's unexcusable that he did this because this is like the 3rd time where Vince put the Raw match in the main event in terms of card structure. He did it at 18 with The Rock and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Instead, he decided to put Chris Jericho and Triple H in the main event. That didn't go well. And then you could make the argument that he made the wrong choice at WrestleMania 24. It should have been Ric Flair's final match. I get that it wouldn't have sent the fans home happy, but I think it would have because I feel like fans would have been sad, but it would have been a sad happy because they would have thought they were seeing the end of one of the all-time.
It would have been a fitting ending, and that was the most important match on that card. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. Again, and again, it's funny you mentioned, okay, he screwed the main event. What happened at WrestleMania 26? Damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, I'm still going to give it 5 stars, though. It's probably one of my favorite matches of all time. It might be number 2. My favorite match of all time is still the first Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. But how fitting is that 2 of my favorite matches of all time involve Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker? The Undertaker was a proven name of WrestleMania. To me, he's Mr. WrestleMania. We can have debates about who the real Mr. WrestleMania is. To me, The Undertaker is because the streak is a lot of the reasons people bought WrestleMania was to see The Undertaker match. They wanted to see him defend the streak and who would defeat it. And Undertaker himself was just a different animal at WrestleMania. He's always really good every year, but WrestleMania is his pay-per-view.
Right.
Same thing with Shawn Michaels, you know. He always had the best match on WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 12, he won that Iron Man match against Bret the Hitman Hart, where they said the boyhood dream had come true. You said it yourself. WrestleMania 24, he had Ric Flair's last quote-unquote match and retired the man.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good WrestleMania resume. JR said the words himself.
And then, this match is very critically acclaimed. It's one match of the year on the Wrestling Observer year-end awards and the PWI Insider. I think it's not 5 stars on the Wrestling Observer. A lot of people gave Brian Alvarez shit for it, but he did talk about it in his WrestleMania 25 review. The reason he didn't give it 5 stars is because he was there. He was legitimately worried about the Undertaker's health when he did that dive over the top rope. So it took him out of the match for a little bit, which is completely understandable. I always don't get why people complain about the Wrestling Observer star ratings or anything like that. That's just their opinions. They're going to rate them how they want to rate them. But just a fantastic match here. It set the table for obviously the next year with Shawn Michaels' retirement match. I consider it as a retirement match. The Crown Jewel never happened. And we'll talk about that some more in the WrestleMania 26 retro when we do that one. But yeah, just incredible. As for career retrospectives, we've done Shawn Michaels before at SummerSlam 2002, and I believe we did The Undertaker at SummerSlam 1992. I think we did. That's the one where we did Shawn Michaels. We did do career retrospectives also for JBL and Rey Mysterio. We did Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam 2002, and I think we did JBL at SummerSlam 2000. So go watch those retros if you want to know career retrospectives. And unfortunately, this is why it should have made evented, because the show kind of dips a little bit afterwards. Right afterwards, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match. It's Edge defending against The Big Show and John Cena. The reason for this match, now, depending on the reports, a lot of people say this WrestleMania was supposed to be John Cena versus Hulk Hogan. I would take that news with a grain of salt because I believe Hulk Hogan's the one that said it, and Hulk Hogan's not very known to be telling the truth sometimes when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah,
but
shocker, right?
Hulk Hogan was going to put Cena over and basically pass the torch to him. I'm kind of glad we didn't get that match because that match probably wouldn't have been that good in 2009. And I really don't think Hogan needed to pass the torch to Cena. I feel like Cena already had the torch, so I'm kind of glad we didn't get that match. But we had this triple threat match here. Basically, John Cena was the World Heavyweight Champion. At No Way Out 2009, he went into the Chamber match. Edge, earlier on that show, lost the WWE Championship and basically turned it into the World Championship by attacking Kofi Kingston and entering the match himself. And he ended up winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And they did some stuff where they tried to keep Cena away from the world title by facing Edge. Edge got himself disqualified in Cena's rematch. And Vicky Guerrero made The Big Show the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I think a lot of people are like, what? Like, that's random. Because The Big Show at this time, was a heel for a while. He was aligned with Vicky Guerrero. He was pretty much her protector. And I remember in like 09 too, they like randomly dropped it and just randomly brought it back up again. It was weird. But
the continuity in WWE was a much more harder thing to actually have.
Yeah. So they had a contract signing on SmackDown, and it didn't happen. Cena attacked both men and whispered something to Vicky Guerrero. So that when they redid the contract assignment on Raw the following week, Raw recently before that was in Boston. I didn't go to that Raw because I'm going to make you feel old, Noah. I was 13 at the time and couldn't stay out late.
Age is just a number. I'm 31.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel the same way. But John Cena revealed that he had some friends in Boston. And basically, first Cena got into the match. We didn't really know why. But it was obviously very much important.
We learned why very shortly.
But then Cena revealed that he was blackmailing Vicky Guerrero and revealed footage that basically the Big Show and Vicky Guerrero were cheating on each other and seeing each other behind Edge's back. And this honestly was pretty embarrassing for Vicky Guerrero, the fact that they kept putting her in this
for WWE.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing for the Big Show too. But obviously this led to a left triangle between Edge and Big Show and Vicky Guerrero, where Vicky Guerrero was basically trying to pull their strings, but she also wanted them to work together because they realized that John Cena was a big threat here. And John Cena reminded them that, they need to focus on him. They need to because he's not going to fight for Vicky Guerrero's affection. He's going to fight and become the World Heavyweight Champion. And that was pretty much the build to this feud. Personally, I would have just done John Cena versus Edge. The fact that they never faced off one-on-one at WrestleMania. It seems like they always like to throw the Big Show and stuff that he doesn't belong in. And it's not a good utilization of the Big Show. They did it at WrestleMania 2000 with that fatal four-way match that should have been The Rock versus Triple H one-on-one. And they did it here. I know they've done it other times, but these are like the two most notable ones where I can think of that they really did it with the Big Show. It's like they want to get the Big Show in WrestleMania, so they feel like he's owed one, so whatever. We had the match. John Cena got a special entrance where a bunch of people came out dressed as John Cena, and he ran through like a sea of John Cena's all doing the "You Can't See Me." Wrestle Talk, or Parts Unknown, as you know it, did a list of like worst WrestleMania entrances. I think this was like number 2 on the list. It's a pretty bad entrance. I don't know if it's like one of the worst. But
the only justification that would be for that entrance is that John Cena literally picked a bunch of fans, not friggin' just plug plant worker independent wrestlers, a bunch of fans to just stand on the ramp and John Cena attire and do this. I guarantee you that was not the case.
So we had the match. Admittedly, this match was suffered because it had to follow that fantastic Undertaker Shawn Michaels match.
Yeah, they got the shaft.
Yeah. I mean, this match, honestly, probably would be like a 3-star rated. It's pretty good.
Average.
Yeah. The match starts. The Big Show starts dominating the beginning portions of this match because he's a giant, He's got to be dominant. Edge tries to work together with the Big Show, but he's just not having it. They do like a high 5 spot, and Big Show just like grabs Edge and like throws him around. That was pretty cool. John Cena goes off on the Big Show. Big Show misses a boot and gets hung up on the ropes, and Cena fights off the Big Show. Edge throws him into the post, and Edge dominates Cena for a bit. It's kind of, they do a lot of that stuff in the triple threat matches that I personally don't like, where it's just 2 guys facing each other and one guy stays on the outside and kind of takes a nap.
More recently, they've been figuring out what a triple threat is supposed to be, but back then, this was like 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah. Then eventually, the Big Show gets back into it. They do it. He does a cool spot where he goes for a double choke slam. Cena jumps out of it, but he ends up still hitting Edge with it, and he hits Edge with like a one-handed choke slam, which was really impressive to me. And eventually, Big Show gets tied up in the ropes, and He's there for a while. Mike Chioda is the referee, which is cool. And Cena does the 5 moves of Doom on Edge. And he goes for the AA. But eventually he gets pulled out by Chavo. And he AAs Chavo on the floor. Because for Chavo, Guerrero, and Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero was in a wheelchair. I don't remember why she was in a wheelchair because they did this angle so often that like you don't remember why when you go back and watch these shows why she's in a wheelchair. So then eventually Edge inadvertently knocks Vicky Guerrero down, so she has to be helped to the back. And Cena nearly wins with a roll up, and then he does the 5 moves of Doom. And then he eventually the Big Show gets freed from the ropes. He yells at Mike Chioda to free him, which was funny. And he knocks out Cena. And then he goes after Edge. Eventually, Edge hits him with the steps. And he was supposed to do like a spear off the steps through the barricade, but instead it was kind of a shoulder block. So it was kind of looked like crap. But again, I don't think whoever structured that into the match was very smart because he was doing it to the Big Show and it kind of made it look like crap. And then he puts Cena in the ring and he goes for the cover, but Cena kicks out. Him and Cena go at it for a bit. And then eventually Big Show makes his way back in and Edge locks a sleeper hold in on the Big Show. And this is probably the coolest spot of the match. John Cena picks up both Edge and the Big Show over his shoulders for an attitude adjustment. He doesn't hit it, but he actually picks them up and he gets them on his shoulders for maybe like 4 seconds. And I know it's to say it was just 4 seconds. The fact that he picked up Big Show and Edge, and I think Michael Cole did the math, and he said that was like 475 pounds he picked up. That's really impressive. Edge obviously gets off. He still hits it on the Big Show. He hits one on Edge on the Big Show. He covers the Big Show, and John Cena becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, I gave the match like a 2.5 star rating. It was pretty all right. Again, it suffered from following that classic WrestleMania match. And I really didn't care about the storyline. And the only competitor I really cared about this match was like Edge. This was when like John Cena and Randy Orton were really being like forced down our throats hard. This was the bad points where like they were always in the title picture.
Pretty much.
At some way or another. I know Cena was always kind of forced down our throats, but this is when they started doing it with both Cena and Orton. And yeah. Obviously, this would set up a rematch between John Cena and Edge in the Last Man Standing match where the Big Show would interfere and chokeslam Cena through that spotlight. And then Cena and Big Show had a feud that like lasted for like ever. And then we've done other. And if you want to know anything else about their careers, you can just watch. For John Cena, you can watch, I think Survivor Series 2013 retro. For Edge, you can watch SummerSlam 2000 retro. For the Big Show, you can watch some retro from 2000. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave the match 2.5 stars. What did you think of this match overall?
I hate love storylines in my freaking sports entertainment, wrestling, how you want to call it. I feel it's so underplayed. Prove that you're the best athlete. Prove that there's more to you than meets the eye. Give me a really personal rivalry. And who gives a damn about who gets the heart of Vicky Guerrero? Blech. It was wrestle crap for me. As far as this match goes, it should have been singles, but it is what it is. I go back to the one thing I remember about enjoying 2006, and that was Cena versus Edge in the freaking Lion's Den against Cena, Edge's hometown, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and that ridiculous TLC match, all right? This was just... So, it was what it was. Cena was going to win. It was obvious, all right? The biggest moment, like you said, he lived up both for a moment, 735 pounds. AA to Big Show, AA Edge on Big Show. John Cena wins. Big match, John, as JBL christened him. Wins once again at WrestleMania. Has a championship. Is at the top until he loses it to, well, we already know what happened with the big gold belt, of course, in WrestleMania 26. Face to face, McMahon. Damn it. But I digress. Yeah, I didn't care about this match at all. I had no interest in this match.
There you go. Then we had the Hall of Fame segment, the Hall of Famers. Justin Roberts introduced them. It was Terry and Dory Funk Jr., Cowboy Bill Watts, Howard Finkel, Coco Beware, the Von Erich family, which was represented by Kevin Von Erich, because I think he was the only one, not living, but I think he was the only one that, like, at that time when they were on top that was still alive. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Obviously, Really good Hall of Fame class there.
Not
This was
bad.
very much like a Southern Texas style one because a lot of people I think made their names like in Texas somehow. Um, I think a lot of people will probably thought it was weird that like typically when they do the Hall of Fame segment, the headliner comes out himself, but Austin came out with everybody. So I think people were like, what's going on there? But Austin comes out with the lowrider. And you could tell that he has to do this quick because he's speeding on this thing. Like he'd get pulled over in a second if he was doing this like in the road or something. And he basically comes out, he just drinks a bunch of beer. He shares a beer with Jim Ross,
Oh,
which I think is the
man.
last beer they like shared together before like JR, before Austin disappeared for a while, before JR is no
As
longer.
far as we know on screen, let's just put it out there, all right?
But yeah, this was good. The only thing I wish Austin could have hit a stunner on somebody. But other than that, this was if you had to have Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, like it be where it was, I don't know why they didn't just do this segment next because at least the fans would have still been tired, but at least they would have woken up a little bit for Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I just don't understand. And also, it would have I think like the world title match would have still had a little bit of a chance. Yeah, good Hall of Fame segment here. I forgot to look up information on career retrospective, so I will make it up to you guys. If we ever talk about these guys on other retros, we will do career retrospectives then. I just forgot to look it up because I forgot this segment was on the show. We did do a career retrospective on Stone Cold Steve Austin, I believe at Backlash 2000, it would have been. But as for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I hope you guys have been paying attention because I covered his retrospective. I said you can go watch his retrospective. But other than that, yeah, this was. What do you think of this Hall of Fame segment right here?
I mean, I always enjoy the Hall of Fame. You gotta appreciate the past. There's always that objective question. Okay, why is this person here? Like, really, Birdman? All right, okay, that's a thing. The rest though, they did kind of make more sense to me. I mean, Howard Fink, immortal voice of WWF before Lillian Garcia and Justin Roberts, for that matter. And you couldn't find a better headliner out of the state of Texas than Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Of course, good old JR was there. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I mean, he had a nice legend spot, and he proved he could still go. And he is also one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. The feud with him and Ric Flair, how fitting, by the way, he was introduced by him, was really cool. So I thought this was fun. And then definitely the Stone Cold, just, what you thought was going to be the last time you feel that energy at WrestleMania, of all places, too. That was really fun. I enjoyed the segment for what it was worth. It definitely brought my spirit up.
Then they announced where the next WrestleMania was going to be, WrestleMania 26, which I believe was. Yeah, it was in Arizona. And then you can take the main event, which I don't think I've thrown you under the bus for that one. It was for the.
Dude, like I said, was I watching a match in slow motion considering the fact Triple H had to be restrained because if he got count out or disqualified, or to lose the title? Let's just put it what it is. It's Randy Orton versus the McMahons. After literally freaking DDTing his wife, but he was handcuffed and sitting with a kiss, Triple H home invaded the house of Randy Orton after already everybody pretty much was punted at this point except for Triple H. He home invaded, nearly got arrested, but he used his cerebral games to force Randy Orton in a corner and be like, yeah, you could arrest me, but what does that prove? I'm still a better man than you. Don't you want to get your hands on me? Don't you want to take what you believe is most valuable to you and also most valuable to me? And of course, that's the WWE Championship. And some would say that's a rivalry stemming back to, well, Evolution, when of course, we saw that turn, and basically Randy Orton's been kind of in Triple H's shadow ever since. He was always the other member there of Evolution. So, I mean, this was what it was in the early going.
Before you make the bats down, do you remember the disorder that Randy Orton said that he had when he was doing all this type of stuff?
Some anger management. I know he had anger management issues. Beyond that, I don't know that.
Yeah, I think it was like IE. He said he had IED, but then we found out he was doing this because he was trying to get revenge on Triple H. Yeah.
For all we know, he still had anger management issues worse than Charlie Sheen, but that's not here or there. That being said, Yeah, RKO literally about a minute in, as referee Scott Armstrong was reminding Triple H, if you get counted or get disqualified, you will lose the championship. Especially after Triple H is going just constantly in the corner, putting the offense to Randy Orton, who then hits an RKO but couldn't capitalize. And then looks for the punt. The only member of the Man family hasn't punted. By the way, Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon there as Triple H was making his way to the ring. Just saying. And he misses the punt, and Triple H out of nowhere hits the pedigree, and basically both men hit their top kill shot within the first couple minutes of the match. As Triple H continues the onslaught of punishment against Orton, at one point Orton literally asked Triple H to wait. Well, Triple H having none of that. Continues punishing him, and then Triple H gets thrown over the ringside area once they go to the outside, and Orton takes control for a good portion of this match, where again, things felt like they were slowed down. I can understand what Ciampa was talking about when he said an Orton match really makes you fall asleep during that time particularly, especially in storytelling. Scoop slam, though, at one point, and then a rest hold. A rest hold in a main event match. Daggone it. And basically, at one point, finally gets some offense in, but there's a nice up boot counter, and then there's an RKO counter into a roll-up, followed by the spine buster on the spine. Triple H is feeling it, looking for the pedigree. That gets countered into a mean backbreaker. And then a big drop kick out of midair slows the match down in its tracks as Triple H was fuming. We go back to the outside, and once again, Randy Orton looked to instigate the game. And Triple H had a monitor in hand as the announce team and Scott Armstrong was begging him not to do it because you would lose the championship, in which case Orton wins because that's what Orton was there to do. Nothing else mattered for Orton except taking away the prize that Triple H had. And as Triple H really fight with himself, put the monitor away, he basically took Orton for a moment until he got draping DDT on the announce table after he tried to put him for the announce table earlier. And then, oh no, ref bump. What the hell is going to happen here? Orton scouting the environment, sees Triple H is down, and looks to basically be his destruction with his own equalizer, the sledgehammer. And Triple H puts his damn lights out and turned him inside out in between the ropes. And Triple H notices the sledgehammer is there and uses it himself, followed by the ground and pound continued action, unleashing as much fury as he could as Scott Armstrong would slowly regain consciousness, getting rid of the evidence, by the way. At this point, Randy Orton's knocked out. This match is over, all right? This was just about Triple H literally getting payback revenge on behalf of Stephanie McMahon more than anybody else, I guarantee you. One last emphatic pedigree, and it was game over. Triple H retains with a 1, 2, 3. That was your main event. The main event, it was what it was. It closed the story. But honestly, why did I look like I was watching a match in slow motion? Damn. It was what it was. Triple H won the end. WrestleMania 25 highlight package. Pyro goes off. You should have ended with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, this is a terrible main event. This might be like one of the worst main events that's ever happened at WrestleMania. It's the worst main event that I've ever seen at a WrestleMania. You're probably thinking, like, why is this the worst? Well, I haven't seen WrestleMania 9 or, like, I was at 32.
We don't talk about that one.
I was at 32, so that one didn't seem as bad to me. And I'm trying to think of like other bad. I guess Roman versus Taker was pretty bad, but like I was watching that with friends, and I think I was drunk doing that one, so like it didn't really matter.
Okay, so basically you just you handled what it was. So I mean, yeah, good on you.
Yeah, so like
less we talk about WrestleMania 33, the better.
Yeah, but yeah, this main event of and then I think what WrestleMania was it where Roman fought Brock the second time? Was that 34?
And people were booing it out of the building and playing with beach balls.
Yeah, so this main event WrestleMania though is just flat out sucks. Like, the crowd was dead anyways from the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match.
They never recovered. Just put it out there. They never recovered. Even Stone Cold brought some energy back, but they never fully recovered.
But even with if you put this match with the crowd lively, this match just sucks. The fact that they added that stipulation where Triple H could lose the title on a count out or disqualification was such a last minute thing that it was just terrible. It completely nullified everything they were telling the storyline where Triple H wanted to kick his ass. Yeah. James and I talked about this off the air before you came on. They should have done the AEW method where there should have been referee's discretion where he just let shit fly and all
A
that.
little bit of
stuff.
leniency.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I'd
basically
even,
what should have happened here. I get not wanting.
Well, now that you mention it, I would even go as far as this. And Noah, maybe you can tell me what you think of this, but I don't even mind the fact that they're building up for it to be a regular match, like Orton playing the mind games. That's fine. But at some point during the build-up, that decision from the chairman of WWE himself, who got punted by the fucking man, should have completely reversed
James,
this
actually,
decision.
that's not big.
And made it a no-holds-barred match. That's what should happen.
That's the Triple H specialty with how violent and how violent.
Yeah, this
the crowd
match
was.
is just
I
like
was expected to be no holds barred.
This match is just slow. The wrong guy wins too. When everybody tells you that like Triple H was like the biggest hindrance to Randy Orton's career, it's fucking true. Because every time Randy Orton gets hot, Triple H is always there to put a stop to it. Whether that was in 04, whether that was in
whether that was his fault,
2009.
whether that was his fault or not. Also, let's keep in mind.
Yeah,
Because this was not Hunter's fault this time. I don't know who the hell booked this hot podge of garbage.
You just said it, Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But there was other times, like in 2013 with the Authority stuff, they could never decide whether they were on Randy Orton's side or not. And I'm pretty sure Triple H always punked out Randy Orton in the Authority days. Truly, the only time I think Triple H ever put over Randy Orton was in his last match at Saudi Arabia. I believe it was at like Super Showdown, where he finally won. But it didn't matter anyways because no one watched it. And Randy Orton didn't need it anymore. Like, when it was time for Triple H to put over Randy Orton, it never happened. And I know you're going to say, well, he punts him again a month later anyways at Backlash. Yeah, with a bunch of bullshit. It's a freaking 6-man tag where the only reason Randy Orton can finally get an advantage on him is because Batista and Shane McMahon can't work together. What a great way. And I know what people are going to say. Well, every year at WrestleMania, they like to send the fans home happy. How about you send the fans home happy by having Undertaker Shawn Michaels main event? Then you would never had that issue to begin with.
Exactly. Amen.
I mean, about to say, WrestleMania 33, they sent the fans home happy.
Again, it was a sad happy because it was Taker's last match. So honestly, they need to get out of that mentality. Yeah, it was supposed to be. They need to get out of that mentality anyways because sending the fans home happy, I think, was kind of starting to ruin their things because I'm glad it seems like they have, I guess, because the last few years Roman Reigns has won and he's been like a heel, I guess.
And he's been,
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, though. He's been good, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but you can't even count that, though, because 38, yeah, they sent the Roman Reigns was a heel, but I don't count 37, really, because that really wasn't in front of like a full-on crowd anyway, so does that really... I don't really count that one.
Because the fact the world was facing a pandemic, it was the first time we actually let the chains loose a little bit and welcome people back to WrestleMania. Might I remind you, WrestleMania 36 was in front of WWE's biggest fan. Yeah, I would count that, especially because the triple threat was Edge and Bryan Danielson. And truth be told, it might have been 2 people at a time, but still, Roman Reigns, he was for the first time in front of his island of relevancy fan base. So I would say that counts. Honestly, that's probably where I would first count the tribal chief actually truly matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this WrestleMania main event's just crap. It sucked all around, and it never should have main evented. I give this a -1. You know what? I wrote -1 originally. This happens when I talk about a match, I end up hating it more or liking it more sometimes. This is going -2. This is freaking terrible. This is my least favorite match of the night. I know you could say, well, you gave the Women Divas match -3. This match just pisses me off more because of where it was and everything like that. This is just a bad match.
If it was no holds barred, it had a better shot of
Yes.
It had a better shot of actually living up to the main event.
I'll put it like this. No holds barred, Triple H vs. Batista was better, and half the audience was asleep, and that was at WrestleMania 35.
Yeah.
Funny thing is too, like Randy Orton, there was an interview Randy Orton did like shortly after this where he was pissed that they added this stipulation is because it hindered them in the match. And you fucked up if Randy Orton, because he never talks bad about the WWE.
Never,
ever.
even during his even during his troubled years, like he never did. That was one time he did.
Truly committed. Yeah.
And I will say, Never blame Triple H for that. You know who the fuck was to blame here, and that's a shame. Like, it really shouldn't have been that way. I don't know what.
Because it's not like because it's not like Randy Orton was phoning it in either. He came to work that day too. Like,
yeah, of course.
but yeah, let's.
By the way, I sent you guys when you do your plugs. I sent you guys stuff in order to plug, and then whatever else you guys got to remember to plug. So if you want to check the plugs, you got it.
I got it.
So let's do the letter grades real quick. So Noah, since you picked this, I'll let you start with the letter grades.
It's funny going retrospective back to this WrestleMania. We're more often up to current WrestleMania. I look at this WrestleMania for just one match. Going it over with you, though, you gave me a bit more retrospective that a couple more matches actually mattered too. You want me to give a letter grade? I always do the classic scale where plus, minus, and standard matters. The main event was a snort fest. The semi-main, it was okay, but it was what it was. Undertaker Shawn Michaels, at the time for me as a fan, was the greatest match I saw in my life, considering how much I respected Shawn Michaels. Still do to a degree to this day, despite the FTR nonsense, internet talk, words, blah, 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 blah. The Money in the Bank, it was all right for what it was. One of the last Money in the Bank ladder matches that I can remember that actually mattered, and also was at WrestleMania. Decent opener. Fun little moment of Canelo Towel. It still didn't bring in their Canelo Towel any relevancy. And the Battle of Brothers, there are certain parts that didn't need to be part of the storyline, even in commentary. But for what the two did under extreme conditions, it literally made it feel like more reality. The WrestleMania itself, I cannot deny how good that one match was, but one match is not a WrestleMania. Just like one Iron Man match for 1 hour is not a pay-per-view in itself, and I still say AEW Revolution is the best pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. But as far as this show, I will be a bit more transparent for what it was at the time. B-.
Yeah, so I actually, I kind of in agreement with you. I actually think this is one thing that sucks about the main event. James and I talked about this off air. That main event is so bad. I think a lot of people think this is like a bad WrestleMania, but that really isn't the case at all. Like, I look at this show. The Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal is really bad. They do have a really short IC title match, but there's enough on this show to like. It just sucks that the main event ruins it. I like the Money in the Bank match, and I like that they had CM Punk win, especially since it led to his heel turn and everything like that. I like, obviously, the handicap match, mainly for the performance of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I think he was a sleeper performer on this show.
Without a doubt.
In terms of, like, he was the standout. Not that he was sleeping like Wendy Chu. And Shawn Michaels and Undertaker's epic, just a classic WrestleMania match. The world title match is okay. Again, it's just in a bad spot in the code. Really, it's just that main event and the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal that really bring this show down. More so the main event because it was the main event. So I'm going to also B-. I think there's enough to like on this show to consider it a good WrestleMania. It just sucks that this WrestleMania is just not going to be thought of that way. I feel like the main event's really going to ruin how people feel about this shit. But that's why sometimes it's about how you finish. You know, you have to finish strong sometimes.
Kenny Omega said perfectly himself on the sessions with Renee Paquette. He put so much, and it was a great match, but people are only going to remember the ending of Revolution 2021.
Yeah. But, yeah, so that's everything there. Let's do some plugs and promotions. It was great to do another show with you, Noah. Let's hope we can we don't have to go like another 4 years without doing a solo podcast just with each other. So we'll see. Anything you want to plug or promote?
Sure. First off, on behalf of course, you and FT Productions, it's always a pleasure to be a part. My little simple brand, part of this entire ecosystem. It's always fun. For those that want more fun content, go check out the watch party for Dynamite, AEW Revolution Go Home Week. Go check out the watch party for AEW Rampage, AEW Revolution Go Home Week. Go check out the Super Predicting Panel with me, James Hebert, and others for AEW Revolution. Go check out AEW Revolution coverage by me and James Hebert across the Jet Mission Network multiverse of media. And also check out all the other fun, wholesome content across FT Productions, different multiverse media, and my super brand too. If you want to know more about me, though, know this. For I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! My voice still has not fully recovered since Sunday, in case you all have noticed, but I digress. Find me on the Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and Foster1916 for all things wrestling. And so, of course, the entire ATW family across the Twitter and our social media platforms as well. This week is going to be pretty quiet, but me and James Hebert and possibly the Rango JJ Williams will work together to maybe do our own simple take, first ever all-elite simple take on AEW Revolution this Saturday. Time to be determined. It will be pre-recorded, though, and then we'll set up a premiere for it. Then, of course, following that, stay tuned for the weekly shenanigans on Open Mic Night every Saturday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless there is a pay-per-view or premium live event, and then we schedule around that. As far as other content to come, stay tuned for the next CD Predicting. It will be Impact Wrestling Sacrifice on March 24th, and tentatively, that will also be when I do the ATW impromptu WrestleMania preview with the family, bringing it back old school, bringing it back all around to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is tentative. Might just be recorded, might be live. Haven't decided yet. And stay tuned, of course, for the next Judgment Minute Blood vs. Mia watch-along event with me and James Hebert, as we will also, of course, cover Impact Wrestling Sacrifice on that same day, due March 24th. So stay tuned for more on that as we prepare for the ultimate week of wrestling of the year, and Lord help my voice, WrestleMania week. And every panel I'm going to be a part of and doing, and every watch-along and commentary I'm going to be doing for that week, too. But as always, I'd like to conclude, there are no winners, no losers, no betters. Just fans with opinions, with this passion we all share. And at the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality, too, treasure your families, and check out the AW Spark. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that. Oh, it's been a pleasure. I'll definitely see you around again soon.
You know, everyone calls Denise Salcedo the hardest working woman in the professional wrestling business. I always call you the hardest working man in the professional wrestling business. You don't even do this for a job. You do this because you love it. You need to be like, you need to get like hired by like Wrestle Talk or Fightful.com or something. Like you would,
bro. Jeff and JJ and I have been saying this to him for the last year and a half now. Trust me, we know.
Go ahead and DM them and see what happens. I dare you. Hell, I got Mr. Warren Hayes to join me on Super Predicting, so who knows who else I could try and get part of the fun there too.
Exactly.
And thank you, Warren Hayes, for being a part of the fun.
I just say that just because a lot of the stuff that they ask people to do, you just do anyways, just for yourself. Like you would be an asset to those fucking sites. Like, anyhow, let me go through my plugs. Obviously, there's some retro wrestling review series content you can watch to hype yourself up for WrestleMania. If you're not feeling the hype, or if you really are feeling the hype, you want to get hyped up even more, you can watch WrestleMania 1, which was done by Chris Dodd and myself. You can watch WrestleMania 15. Now, that's an interesting retro, because that's a retro that the Indie Force, which I guess really isn't the Indie Force anymore. It was at the time.
No, it's still the Indie Force.
They
Nothing's
recorded
changed
that.
there.
Oh, you just haven't done a podcast.
We haven't done a podcast in a while.
There's only so much time. There's only so much time you have to cover so much wrestling. And
exactly.
This is coming from me, who created a family that's about all things wrestling. And
yeah.
And stay tuned, folks, because I am crazy. There also will be a soft launch of what I'm going to try to turn into a Ring of Honor review and recap series, something really simple called the Honor Hub, and that will cover the first 2 episodes of the new era of Ring of Honor. Stay tuned for more on that.
But yeah, the other retros you can watch, WrestleMania 15, like I said. Indie Force did one, did their version of it back in 2021, and I did mine, so it's an interesting one. WrestleMania 2000, which was done by Casey Gallagher and myself. And then we did some to hype up people to watch Elimination Chamber. James, we did Survivor Series 2002, which was really good. Casey was supposed to be on that one, but life got in the way. New Year's Revolution. Yeah, that does happen. New Year's Revolution 05 and 06. 05 was done by Chris Dodd and I, and 06 was done by James and I. You already promoted it, but I'll plug it again. You can watch AEW Spark from this week, done by Noah and James the Heatman Hebert. I do comment and make a little appearance on there, on the comments, but that's it. And then you can check out WWE Aftershock from this week, done by Chris Dodd and I. It's going to be dated now because, it was a week ago, but you can still watch it. You still give us the views anyways. Watch it 300 times if you want.
Do it and give it a thumbs up. That's what it matters in this YouTube algorithm world of the stupid age of internet monetizing.
You could subscribe to the Wrestling Fortune 44 channel. I am 2 subscribers away from 400 subscribers. I would love to get there, especially before tomorrow, so that way Jeff Meacham can say that he's on a 400 subscriber video. That way it's worth his investment and his time.
Or he could be the reason it gets to 400 subscribers.
It could be. I got to $3.99 yesterday, but I think somebody unsubscribed, which made me kind of sad. So I think I chased somebody away.
Probably just a bot. At this point, I don't look at the numbers. Again, I just do this for fun. Whoever I engage and encourage, that's the bonus for me.
But yeah, if I get to 400 subscribers, I'm not going to do the shout out video. I'll do something like, I don't know. I'll do something. I'm not going to do something too weird, but I'll do something like fun. I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's all work in progress.
But you can subscribe to the other channels. You could subscribe to the CM Brothers channel. We recently just got to 400 videos on there a month ago. We reviewed the Death Note 2017 Netflix movie, the greatest movie that we've ever seen. It's so great. We spent like over 3 hours talking about it. So that's how great that movie is. Since Noah, you don't watch that, that's total joke. The movie's fucking trash. So it's so trash that we had to spend over 3 hours talking about it. James can attest to this. I mean, James has never seen it. He's just going based off what I say. But if you want to see me rant about something non-wrestling, that's going to be a treat for you.
All right.
You could also subscribe to my on the Talkinator channel. We have a channel update coming on when James can upload it for both channels, where it's going to discuss the future of the CM Brothers and on the Talkinator YouTube channels. So definitely make sure you watch them while you watch that video when it comes out, so you know what's going on. Because if you send me messages after that video gets uploaded and wondering what's going on, I'm just going to plug that video consistently because I'm not going to repeat myself. So, and that's everything you can check out. And now I'm excited because I get to go eat taco, enchilada, and a burrito. So that's great. In my lifetime, I learned what a burrito was at a younger age than Vince McMahon did. So that's great.
That is pretty impressive. That's a little golf clap here.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So yeah, and I could say my catchphrase. We would talk to you guys later, but since this is being recorded in the past, we would talk to you guys in the future. Yeah, it feels good to say that catchphrase for like one time only. This catchphrase is gone next week. Goodbye. James just ruined. Yeah,
we're doing it live. Fuck it.
All right, well there you go. Have a good night, folks.
We doing all the classics, you heard it, then I grabbed it. Flow like Method Man, then run like I'm Rabbit. Soon as I hear the bass line, it be my FaceTime. Music's in my veins, so just in case I'm without my iPod or a media player, I'll check my